All right, all right. Good afternoon, good morning, good day, everybody. Good to have you here. For those joining us live, hello, or wherever you're joining, welcome to this strategic planning or strategic repositioning meeting. Sometimes, it's hard for me to use one line to describe this meeting. So just call it reset, rethink, and relaunch. So welcome wherever you're joining from. If you're joining us live on YouTube, live on Facebook, wherever you're joining us, just let us know in the comment section that you're joining us. And we're excited to be here. For those of you in the hall, good afternoon. Good to see you all. And welcome to today's session. I have no doubt that today is going to be a great time. And it's 2 minutes to the hour of 3 p.m. West African time. So we're supposed to start in 2 minutes. And we actually are going to make a point to start exactly when we said we're going to start. Because we only have 3 hours. And I can promise you, it can fly very fast. So we are going to try to maximize every moment and every minute that we have. But I'm quite curious. Do we have another microphone? Yes, please, because I want to get some feedback. I'm a little bit curious, especially those of you who came before time. And I'm wondering, what did they tell you that you're coming for? So as you were coming, what did you think or what did you hear that you were coming from? I want to be sure that the reason that this is that you are at the right event, first of all. I want to be sure that you're in the right place, you came for the right event. So, and while you were coming here, I just want to have an idea of your expectations. What were you expecting, or what are you expecting from this event this afternoon? Yes, anybody? I need to hear from somebody. Because if you are here, definitely, yes, there's somebody here who wants to speak. Tell us your name and then. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Compass. Ah, okay, from Compass. Oh, great.
Came to know about you during Gap, and I saw the value you did start. I'm a person of value. I like value. So the reason I'm here is because I want to gain more value. All right. So things for my life. All right. So things I feel I should be doing, I'm not doing, right? Or things I should be doing that I don't know that I'm supposed to be doing. All right. So I'm here to reset and then relaunch. Thank
Hmm.
you very much.
Okay. I like the way you use my words against me. Says here to reset. Yes. I want to know. I'm really curious. Um, Especially because I'm seeing some of your faces, maybe not for the first time, but at least in my own space for the first time. So I'm curious. You're smiling. Please give him the mic. That smile was like, okay, this guy thinks we're in his space or this. So I don't know why did you smile.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Mark. I joined through the Compass link, and for the very first time, I heard a whole lot of challenging stuff from you, and I felt where I ought to have been. I'm not there yet, and this is an opportunity for me to, like you said, reset, rethink, and then learn how to strategize for the rest of the years ahead. Thank you.
Great, great. Thank you. Okay, it's like the Compass people are the ones who are talking. So you know that story that Jesus gave, that the ones that they invited first did not come, and then the ones they invited last. I think Compass people are the last people that I extended this invitation to. For anybody else from Compass here? Okay, some of you don't know what is Compass. So Compass is a mentorship program for guys, just men. If you're a woman, Compass is not for you. So it's Compass for guys. So we're just trying to work with young men around the world and see how we can help provide life navigation, direction, and growth for young men. He said something to reset and re-strategize for the next year, for the rest of the year and the next year. I want to get somebody else, maybe one more person. Okay?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
My name is Peter, and I heard about this program. I think I saw it on WhatsApp, and I I've heard a lot about you. Yes, actually, and I've not really been to hear you personally for myself, but the things that I've heard are things that makes me want to know more and makes me come here. Um, I was told that you're a man of value and you're a man that you need to get close to. I mean, you need to learn from. So that's why I'm here. And another thing why looking at the topic why I came here is because I actually have this void in myself that I'm trying to actually fill regarding future plans, regarding your goal and your future ambitions, and all those things are just creating a void in me that I'm trying to actually find answers to and how to fill them. So that's why I'm here, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody online? If you're online, just help us do a favor. Just write your name. Tell us where you are joining for your name, where you're joining from, what city, what country, and where you're joining from. Okay. Now my own tribe is coming. Good to see you, sir. Hello, welcome. Yeah, so if you're joining us online, just let us know where you're joining from. I know it's a little bit on tradition for us to start at 3 on the dot. So some people are going to be shocked to just come or join online and we've moved on. But yes, we have to make the most of every second and every minute that we have. And that's because time is life. Our life is measured by time. Anybody who wastes your time is wasting your life. The amount of life that you have is a measure of the amount of living time that you have, meaning every second of your life, every second. I mean, when somebody dies, we say he died at 65. What that meant is he had 65 years that can be broken down into hours and minutes and seconds. So if anybody was able to take 10 minutes of his time while he was alive, that person took 10 minutes of his life. So one of the ways to begin to place value on your life is to begin to place value on your time. So if you spend your time doing idle things, you eventually end up spending your life doing idle things. I mean, we live in years and in months and in weeks and in days. You know, if your days don't make sense, your life cannot make sense. A life that will make sense must be a life that spends every single day making sense. So we think that somehow we're going to end up living, there's one long span of life that we're going to end up having. No, it actually starts with the way every day goes. So thank you so much for that. And I really am looking forward to some of the conversations we'll be having. I want to respond to something someone said, and I assume that a lot of people have the same expectation. This meeting is not about next year. If you were thinking that this meeting is about 2025, no, it's not. This meeting is about the next 50 years of human existence. Mr. David, how do you talk with so much audacity? Yes, I know what I'm talking about. If you pay attention to the things we'll be talking about today, the next 10 years, the next 30 years, the next 50 years of your life is changing direction. So this is bigger than next year. If you just came that I want to set goals for next year, no, you are trying to shrink the whole idea of this meeting. And you may not get the most value if you're thinking of the things I'll be saying in 1 year time perspective. You know, there's something called the law of time perspective. That's the amount of time that you put into consideration when making a decision. So if we're to make a decision and I'm thinking 6 months and someone else is thinking 2 years, the other person is thinking 10 years, we're not making the same quality of decisions. The longer the amount of time you put into your decision making, the more strategic your decisions are going to be. Yesterday night, someone was in my house and we're talking about politics, and he said someone who became president started planning for that office 20 years ago. And because his plan was not to be president in 4 years or 8 years, while others looked like they were moving and he looked like he was slow, he was actually making moves. When you put in time perspective into your decisions, you are able to make the decisions that people may not understand today. But when they begin to generate results, people are going to be like, where has this guy been? Where did he just come from? So don't look at the things or don't hear the things we'll be talking about today from the angle of How does this work next year? How does this one make 2025 better? 2025 is going to be fantastic. Yes, 2025, whether you, I mean, whatever you do, that year will still come. And when it comes, it will still go. We don't hold time. And you see, that even takes us, our entire life, humanity functions in times and seasons. Times and seasons. And that's where I'm going to start. This meeting is broken into parts. So you can see there's a reset part, there's a rethink part, there's a relaunch part. Now, times and seasons is the order of life. Our entire life, our entire human existence is organized into times and seasons. And these are not things that we have control over. There's one scripture. I mean, I'm going to make a reference to the Bible as a text. So you're going to see a few scriptures that I'll mention. I'm not preaching, so you don't get carried away, but I'm going to make references to a few wise words and historical references. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. If you have that on the screen, let me have it. Ecclesiastes 3:1. Yeah, that's the first one. It says, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. There is a time for how many things? Some things, everything, and a season for some activities, for every activity under the heaven. All human activity is tied to times and seasons. Everything you want to do functions within that box of times and seasons. You see, purpose is not an absolute. Purpose is not a standalone. We think that, oh, purpose is this independent, this is what I'm called to do. So whatever happens, my purpose will be fulfilled. Wrong. Purpose is tied to times and seasons. Because the thing that God has created you to do has a time window within which you need to do it. And if you miss that time window, you might hit a wrong destination. So when it comes to thinking about your life, this is the first concept I want you to have. You need to start thinking timing and thinking season. And the first thing I'm going to do this afternoon is to help that concept sink very well into your mind. This concept of timing and season. It says purpose finds its relevance in timing, and action is only useful when aligned with the right seasons. The Bible says in Genesis, right? As long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest, hot and cold, night and day, they will never cease. God set the universe to move in seasons. And if you don't work with times and seasons, if no matter how hard you work, your work may end up bearing no results. You're a farmer. You want to plant. Is it every time you can plant? There's a time to plant. If you read that scripture down, it says a time to this and a time to that. A time, everything has time. Meaning you don't get the results for what you do. You get results for what you do relative to time. It is not the action that generates the results. Action at the right time generates results. There are things you do, the action is right, but the timing is wrong. You generate a wrong result. In fact, or no result at all. I go and plant beans right now, and I just go and dig the ground and I plant beans. The Bible says whatever you plant will grow. True? True. If I plant beans now, will it grow? Error. Why? It's not the season. It's not the season. So you don't just copy what people are doing. Don't just say, hey, this guy is doing this and it's working for him. Let me copy what he's doing. Hold on, wait a minute. Check times, check seasons. Check time, check seasons. And ask yourself, what I'm trying to do, is this the season for it? Now, times and seasons are not meant to be static. They come and they go. They come and they go. Please, I want you to really follow me today. We're going somewhere. And if I don't succeed in getting you to see this foundation, when we get midway into this talk, you may be lost. So it's important that you follow the train of thought. Now, times and seasons are not meant to be static. Meaning, today it's a season for something. Tomorrow may not be that season anymore. That is why action is only useful when tied to the right timing. You may know what to do, but you are not able to do it anytime. There's a season that once that season passes, they just say, no, this person has lost his time. He's lost his season. There was a season when you should have done some things. And if you lose those seasons, it passes. Because of the order of nature, seasons are cyclical. So that you've lost one season does not mean you are gone completely. That season may come again. However, the opportunity that came in that season may not be there in this season. Are we together this afternoon? Give me the next slide. Let me show you another scripture. Daniel chapter 2, verse 21. And he changes the times and seasons. Who is the he here? God. He changes the times and seasons. He removes kings and raises up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. So, no time, no season is permanent. God did not design it to be permanent. So you can wake up today and there is a season, and this is a period for some things to be happening. And tomorrow you wake up and it's gone. And like, but we thought this was going to be the. He changes times and seasons. Life was not meant to be static. Nothing was meant to stay the same. These things were meant to actually change. So, change is not the problem. Actually, as human beings, one of the things we don't like is change. We love stability. We love things to work the way they've always worked. So, if I'm able to get this opportunity over time, I expect that each time I do this, I'll get that result. Then change comes and things happen. I know that people are joining this call from all over the world, but we're speaking from Nigeria. So I'm going to give a few Nigerian-related examples. Our economy has not been stable. Our economy has been dancing. You know that dance? Today is here, tomorrow is there, and you have no idea, because if it is going left and right, you are sure that when it comes back to go left. But after this right, if you can go right, so you can't predict it, and we don't like it. We like predictability. We like stability. We like to be able to be sure. And it says no. When change comes, it's nobody's fault. In fact, the devil is not the author of change. Who created change? God. So when things happen and opportunities are swindling and things, I say, but why is nothing staying the same? Why were they supposed to stay the same? They were never supposed to stay the same. They were supposed to change. Now, because I'm talking of times and seasons, let me do some explanations. Time and season are not the same. They are two different things, and it's important you understand the difference. So time are specific measurements of life. Days, months, years, hours. Something you can measure. That's time. Seasons are extended amount of times that come with certain patterns or characteristics. Winter is an amount of time where there is cold. Rainy season is an amount of time where something happens. So yes, time is constant. Time moves. But seasons, elongated times, but they come with certain attributes, certain characteristics. And it's important to understand, times exist inside seasons. So it's rainy season, but inside the rainy season, we have 5 months. So within that season, you can take advantage of time. But it does not wait for anybody. It never stays. And when times change and seasons change, opportunities come and go. Habakkuk also said, the vision is for an appointed time. You had a vision, from who? From God. The validity of that vision is tied to timing. When you don't work and understand times and seasons, visions look like they didn't come from God. Because you can tell yourself, but God told me this thing, why is it not working? Hold on, check timing. There are times that we give birth to visions ahead of their time. So something you're trying to do, but have you heard the statement, that's an idea whose time has not come? Fantastic idea. YouTube was not the first streaming platform to be created. Many streaming platforms tried to come, but that entire idea was predicated on something else. If there's no fast internet, there can't be streaming. So it does not matter if you were thinking of streaming, you were thinking ahead of your time, because there were things that needed to happen before other things can happen. And then when those things had happened and the season was right, whoever planted that idea was going to hit. So sometimes it's not that's why the Bible says the race is not to the swift, neither is the battle to the strong. The wisest men are not the richest men. And if there's a line, it says what? But what? Time and chance happens to them all. Your swiftness and your strength and your wisdom and your agility and all of those things, there's a guy, there's a variable that can nullify it. And it's called time. And when times change, usually they cause disruption. And those disruptions that come with changing times and seasons are what actually destabilizes the human organized system. So people have predicted how life is going to go. Then things that they can't control happens. And then suddenly they're like, what's this? What's this? What's happening? That's why some businesses can be doing so well, and all of a sudden they are dead. Because change happened. And like I said, change is not the problem. Our response to change is the problem. When change comes, give me the next slide. How you respond to change is what matters. Because the concept of changing times and seasons actually means it's an opportunity for a reset. Do you know that influence can expire? So that you are the most popular person today in a particular industry does not mean it's an absolute. Does not mean it's guaranteed. It can change. And what really drives that change is times and seasons. That's why even Jesus said, there's something Jesus said, it says, salt can lose its saltiness. You are the salt of the earth, too. But that salt of the earth, something can happen to that salt, and after a while, the salt is useless. It tells you that influence can expire. How we handle change, how we respond to changing times and seasons is what determines if we are going to survive and if we are going to last long in the place of influence. Now, like I said, change is not the problem, but our response to change is the problem. We are in a season where there is a major reset going on. And I'm going to talk about that down the line. There's a major reset going on. Those of us who have been here a little bit longer are already used to doing things in a particular way. And if we don't recognize that there's change going on, change takes us unawares. And when change meets you unprepared, that's trouble. That's why people lose relevance. That's why people lose influence. That's why people get lost completely when change meets them unawares. So if you will be someone who can survive change and can ride on the wings of change, there are 3 important skills that you must have. 3 extremely important skills. Give me the next slide. No, please. Who is this? Use your arrow, please. There are 3 skills you must have. Number 1 is the ability to recognize when times are changing. Now, that's an underrated skill. There's a scripture that actually goes with that. It says, of the men of Issachar, they were so and so men. What were their skill? They had understanding of times and seasons. Now, that is one skill that is a game changer. In fact, if you read that scripture very well, when they were talking about the different tribes that came to Israel, that came to David, these people came 50,000. That one came 25,000 men. This one came 40,000 men. Men of Issachar came 250. The skill they brought was a game-changing skill. And what was their skill? The ability to understand. And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, The heads of them were 200 and even 200, and their brethren were their commandments. Now, three skills I talked about. Number one, give me that next slide. I'm there on the scale. I need to run a little bit fast so that I can get. Those who are able to maximize change have three abilities. Skill number one, the ability to recognize and understand times and seasons. When things are happening and you can spot on and say, this is what is happening. You can read the room, you can read the atmosphere, you can read the economy, you can read global events, you can read statistics, you can read data, and you can tell where the cloud is moving to. That's the first skill. Anybody who does not have this skill, change will catch you. And when change catches you, it don't be. This is an important skill, but this is not sufficient. You need to understand times and seasons, and then do what? Know what needs to be done. That is the second skill. After you've understood what is happening around the world, you need to know, based on what is happening, what do I need to do? If you don't know that, now this is Nigeria. We don't have winter in Nigeria. We don't have snow. But it's possible that something is going to happen and we know, hey, winter is coming. Now, I know that line. Those of you that love movies, that line means something else to you. I should not use that line. I should go elsewhere and go and say something else. Good. You know the story of Pharaoh in the Bible? Pharaoh had a dream. What did he see? 7 fat cows, 7 lean cows. Now, that was a sign. The sign was predicting something. He did not know what it was predicting. But that guy was too smart to know that, no, this is not ordinary. I can't have 2 dreams like this ordinarily. Now, that is a skill of visionaries. People who are able to know that something is about to change. I know why God gave Pharaoh that dream. Because God knew that Pharaoh will not rest until he finds the meaning of that dream. He had ability to know that something is changing, something is coming. Now, Joseph was able to interpret that dream for him. That is an understanding. Joseph said, the 7 years are coming of plenty. Then after that, 7 years of famine. That was understanding of times. This is where the next work is. And what's that? What shall we do? What do we need to do? The things that are happening, what do we need to do? It's your understanding of time that actually equips you with knowledge of action. Because what really brings change is not knowledge. It's action on the knowledge that brings change. I'm still going to talk about that briefly down the line. Information is an ingredient of transformation, but information does not automatically convert to transformation. There's something that information must go through. There's a process by which knowledge turns into change. So many of us have access to knowledge, but it's not showing in our lives because we recognize what's happening. But how do I respond to it? We don't know. And then after you know what needs to be done, this is usually the hardest part. The courage to do it. Because every time there's a change in season and somebody is trying to respond to it, that person is actually going against the tide. So it's not a popular decision. Everybody is going like this, and you're like, I see something there. I know that there's danger there. Let me go this way. You're always a madman. So because people don't want to be mad, even when they tick box number 1 and number 2, they get to number 3, and they're like, I think we should just chill a bit. Maybe it's not going to happen as fast as we think. And like I said at the beginning, opportunity is birthed when vision aligns with timing. Opportunity is born when an idea is created when its time is ripe. Because vision is an appointed time. It's for an appointed time. You can hear something from God and you move too early or you move too slow. You can see opportunities and say, this is the time for this. Somebody needs to create this. Somebody needs to launch an initiative like this. Somebody needs to birth a company like this. Somebody needs to build a product like this. You know this is the opportunity. And you know the time is right. But you don't move. You will wake up one day and you will see a replica of that thing. Has it happened to you before? You had an idea. You did nothing about it. I used to work for a boss sometime, and we went somewhere. I think we entered a bank one time. As soon as we entered the bank, you know this air freshener that presses itself every 2 minutes. As we entered and we saw it, he just froze and screamed. He said, David, let's go back to the office. When we got to the office, he opened his notebook and showed me a sketch of that thing. He got that idea years earlier, drew it, never built it, entered a bank and saw it working. If he built it now, excuse me, what's going to happen? Somebody has moved. The idea has gone. So there's a place of understanding times and seasons. Now, how do we align with times? How do we know times and seasons? How do we know? I'm talking today. We are saying we need to know times and seasons. What are the requirements for knowing times and seasons? How do we know times and seasons? Now, there are different ways to know times and seasons. One of them is through prophetic guidance. Now, I know that many people don't believe in prophecy because that's one concept around faith that has been abused a lot. But let me tell you a truth. Anyway, for anything to be abused or anything to be counterfeited, it means the original exists. So if people are faking prophecy, it means there's original prophecy. And you see, prophecy does not come usually to make things happen. It comes to align you to what is about to happen. So someone gives you a word of direction, a word of prophecy. Sometimes we think that because they've said it, it must happen. No. When they say it, what happens is it tunes your mind to be able to recognize when it starts happening. Okay, my wife is here. I'll use her as an example. I know she's wondering, what do I want to say? That's are going to play catch up. When you have that understanding, you're able to catch opportunities before they come. People say, oh, this is where the world is going. I mean, I've shared some of my stories with some of you before. There are things that we saw before they happened. We saw coming that this was going to happen. COVID-19 was one of them. When COVID began to happen all over the world, data is there. This is not the first time there's a global pandemic. We have doctors here, they understand this. In fact, if you around medical circles, they are preparing for something else in 2025. Because there's a cycle. Every 5 years, something comes. If it's not Ebola, there's something that comes in. So they don't know what it is, but they know that something will come. But you see, that one of COVID was not like that. That one was coming. Is this sincere? Am I saying something like me? Something was coming. I can't forget. I think I've shared this story before. I remember I was in Lagos in an event like this the day the first COVID case in Nigeria was detected. The announcement just came out that, hey, one Italian man has been diagnosed with COVID in Lagos. Right there in that meeting, I went on WhatsApp, drafted a very long message to our teachers group, our school. So we run a school, for those who are not aware, we run a school. I just said a long message. I said, guys, COVID has entered Lagos. It's coming to Akwa Ibom. It's not a matter of if, it's when. It will come. And when it comes, we are one of the higher risk schools. We run a school where we have a lot of parents as medical doctors. The likelihood of it entering is through the hospital. Somebody will carry it, go to his house, give the children, come to school. That's not the kind of publicity I want. That we are the first school that had a breakout. Therefore, what are we doing? We're shutting down school. COVID is only one in Lagos. So we are here in New York. What are we saying? We shut down school. Oh yeah, everybody, let's start going online. Switch to online. When we shut down school, where people with us that time? We shut down school before government say shut down. Oh, people branding hard. You guys are paranoid. You are spreading fear. Why shutting down school? Up to 2 weeks after we shut down, they announced shut down. By that time, we're comfortably online. But that's why like, hey, now that they shut down school, how do you do online? Excuse me. We saw this thing. The data is there. And it's not a big, that was not even prophecy. We didn't need to go and ask prophet what is going to happen. When the last pandemic happened, the data of how it spread in Nigeria is available online. State by state. How many persons were infected? How many persons died? The data is online. But we can't read data. We are like, what is this statistic? Table chart. I beg. They have come to. Is this a rescue? Am I sounding better? Okay. So let's go. Now, I've talked about signs. I've talked about seasons. The fact is that we are at an interesting time in human existence right now. This is 2024. Now, this meeting is about to start. What I was doing was trying to lay the foundation. This is 2024. This year marks the end of the first half of this decade. This decade that came in 2020, 5 years is about to finish in a few days. So January 2025 is actually going to mark the start of the second half of this decade. Now, that's not a timing to ignore. For any normal decade, that's an important milestone. In a football match, first half, second half. So that's an important timing. However, the uniqueness of this decade is different. I can't forget, I think I remember, was it 2019? That was my first futurist conference I attended. In 2019, we paid to attend a futurist event. Now, who are futurists? Futurists are prophets who don't prophesy with Bible. It's the same thing they do. These are guys who study data and tell where the world is going. And we have a few of them. I won't mention their names. But I remember very well attending that futurist event. And this guy was talking about this decade, saying things. And I remember writing them down. I was writing, I was like, okay. Today I pay money, come here. Just the right time. And he was saying things with so much audacity and as in he was so sure of what he was saying. This is what the decade is going to come. COVID had not come by that time. In hindsight, I picked that note sometime this year. everything that was said is happening to the letter. And I'm going to share some of them with you. I can't share all. I'm going to share some of them with you just so I can make the points I'm trying to make. There's something he said. Who is on my slide? Please, can we go on? Okay, I've passed this stage already. You guys will need to follow me. This is where I am now. There's something he said about the decade. I mean, many things he said actually. That when I look back, I'm asking myself, oh boy, should I have aligned earlier? You know when they say something, I like, when they talk, more just do normal. But 2 years into the decade, I'm like, wait. These things are happening. This thing is looking like this is where the world is going. And we began to see. So I'm going to share with you what are some of the big trends that was actually predicted for this decade. What are some of the things that we're told that this decade was going to be? Because this decade started by saying, I am different. As we enter, as we bring us COVID. And you know that COVID was not just a disease. COVID was a button. Do you know what button? What button was it? It was a reset button. COVID changed the way the world runs. In fact, many of us can't even imagine the world before COVID anymore. We can't imagine how, as in, it's so uniquely different that we are wondering, has life always been like this? Life has always been like this. Things came. It birthed the creation of a new order. The world of work has permanently changed. Now, when you are posting job, you have to specify whether it is on-site or online or hybrid. We didn't know about that before. Work was work. Job was job. Office was office. So now you meet someone and say, oh, I work for this company. Now you need to really ask for that question to understand what kind of work they do. You know, a company, I heard this was a true story. They put out a job offer, somebody applied, and then he went through the interview, got hired, got the appointment letter, had the resumption date. And on resumption date, the guy didn't show up. And the HR boss was like, where is this guy that I hired? HR said, I've not seen him. They waited 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. By noon, they called him. Ogbeni, today is resumption. He said, I know. Where are you? I'm at home. I'm not going to come to work. He's to come and do what? But we employ you today. Say, send me the work. I'll do it and give you back. As in, for him, that was normal. He was not. He could not imagine that work was. He was like, oh, wait. Were you guys meaning I should come to our office? No, now. I mean, see how fast we have forgotten how life was. This decade came with a lot of resets. In the world of work, so much transformation. In the world of technology, we seem to have forgotten that AI really got popularity, became popular a few years ago. That this whole AI thing is still new. It has become so normal that we seem to have forgotten how life was before AI. In fact, before 2020, there was no ChatGPT. The first version was not even launched. The first version of ChatGPT was not even public, was launched in June 2020. So the iterations happen all of the time. And right now, whatever you are doing, that AI is not factored into it, you are at risk. Whatever you are building right now, and you're not thinking, how will AI plug into this? And what are the threats AI will bring? What are the opportunities with AI? Honestly, you are wasting your time. I speak from someone in the back end to see how these things are going. I'm involved in a few AI projects locally in the country. And one of them, the last time we did the first prototype and we built it, I made the presentation to this medical college at one of the universities in the Southwest. And they gathered the entire medical college and we presented this AI that we had built. And I mean, my team had led the development of that. So I got to do the presentation. And the idea was, let them even critique our work and tell us what we are not doing right. After I finished, and we gave them a microphone to talk. Hey, this will have come to finish us. Our work has gone, our job has gone. I'm like, Oga, your job has not gone. We're enhancing your job. They're like, no, please take this in the way we don't want. I'm talking of doctors in current day, present. This thing happened like this is like last month. So this is like a new development, the world of work has significantly changed. You know, we say they keep before AI came, they were warning us AI will come, AI will come. They told us AI will replace you, AI will replace jobs. The truth is, AI will not replace you, but somebody using AI will replace you. So if you want to stay in that industry, you better be the one using the AI. Because right now, I mean, something happened last month. Yeah, last month. I was in Lagos. This friend of mine was trying to rent a place, and he wanted to make it a conference room, a seminar room to rent. And it's like, how do I even estimate the price of that we are going to charge for that? People are willing to pay for this place. I say, okay, why not put it online, put it as a listing, put a price, and here, no, I'm not there yet, please. And it's like, okay, how do I get to know how much people are going to pay? I say, okay, why not put the hall? I say, but I can't go and put an empty undesign hall online now. I say, small matter, let's go there. We went there, took my phone, snap the hall, empty hall like this. Just took it to one AI tool. Oh yeah, set up this hall as a seminar room. Choose your color. What colors do you want? I say blue and this. Put the color. I say, what design do you want? Modern, antique, minimalist. And in a few seconds, this hall was fully furnished to taste. And the guy look at me and say, I say, bros, when we are telling you. Now, you know that with this tool, I can go and brand myself as an interior decor person. And when you give me room, I'll give you 5 different design options. And when you pay me the money, I'll go and find the guys who really do the job. And tell them, reproduce this thing for me. Suddenly, so like I said, truly, AI is one of the revolutions and it is resetting professions. Where is okay? Let me not put him on the spot. One of my staff in the office, one day we're talking, and we thought, okay, he's looking at me there, and I said, you know what? Bring up your laptop. He brought the laptop. He's a programmer. They write code, and right there we sat down, got out an AI tool, and say, build this XYZ thing for us. And in 15 seconds, we had the code, 3 pages, 3 different page files done, and how to connect them together. And I said, take the code, go and run it and bring it back. And he came back and it was running. And I asked him, how long will it have taken you to write this code? He says, if I try 2 days. 2 days with sleepless night and plenty bugs. This guy did it in 15 seconds. This is not an AI talk, but any industry you are in, start thinking AI. We're talking about how this decade came to make resets. Beyond just the world of work and the world of technology, we're seeing major global economic shifts are happening. Things are happening around the world that we cannot afford to ignore. We cannot say, this is not important anymore. There are so many things happening around the world. The war for economic dominance is becoming more and more fierce. The semiconductor war. Now, I know that some of you are not even involved in the conversation. And that's one other thing I'm going to talk about. This is not the decade that you can afford not to know what is happening around the world. When I say the semiconductor war, how many of you are following that battle? The battle of semiconductors. You know that the entire American election is actually, campaigns are built around make America first. It's an economic battle. Who will be number one? And it's not a battle of China and US. It's a global battle because alliances are happening. The idea, what makes semiconductor powerful is because to be the world power now is not how many fighter jets you have. Whoever has the biggest computing power can dominate the world. So the smallest, it's broken down to the singular element that determines computing power now. Microchips. And so, who is going to be the biggest producer of microchips in the world? That is the fight America and China are fighting. Because there's one small country that nobody knows called Taiwan. Taiwan has the most complicated microchip technology in the world. The most complex microchips are built in Taiwan. Taiwan is a free state. Whoever controls Taiwan has that technology. So China wants to invade Taiwan. If you check the news, I say China is planning, America is going to plant warships protecting Taiwan. It's not because of anything. They are not protecting democracy. Now, cheap technology. See, global shifts are happening. And we're seeing new global alliances. Before we just had NATO and G7 and G12. Now we're having BRICS, we're having axial upheaval, axial upheaval. I mean, if you follow the news, you are hearing terminology and like, what's happening? And suddenly, even countries that were not being invited to the WhatsApp group are now being invited. So BRICS was Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And like even South Africa again got invited. Now they've extended BRICS. They're now inviting Saudi Arabia, and alignments are happening globally. Geopolitics is changing. In this decade alone in Africa, we've had 7 coups, military coups in 1 decade, and you're not reading the room. You don't understand that something is happening. Times and seasons, there's a shift happening. The problem is first understand it, then understand what is this saying. The fact is this: there's a reset going on in the way the world runs, and we're not done. We're just halfway into it. Things are still going to happen. This is not the time that you want to say, well, me, I don't say what happened in the world does not concern me. If it does not concern you, I think you're in the wrong room. Because the whole point, when I say this is not about next year, this meeting is not about 2025. It's about the next 50 years. Whether you will understand where the world is going and have a space to put your leg inside the room where decisions matter is based on the things that you will hear and the things that you will know. Now, what's the next trend happening in this decade? I first heard this in 2019 when they said the rise of underdogs and the emergence of new voices. Now, let me do a simple activity. Everybody in the room, think of your age. How old are you? I want you to be mind. What's your current age? Don't tell me. Add 20 years to your current age. So if you are 25 now, in 20 years, how old will you be? 45. If you're 40, in 20 years, how old will you be? 60. And if you think 20 years is far, think of when we were in 2004. 2004 was like it was yesterday. And suddenly, this is 20 years down the line. Now, in 20 years, the world as we know it is going to be a brand new world. Like, the amount of change, the pace of change that is happening is going to be extremely fast. In fact, many years ago, they had told us some years back that based on the pace of change, that there's going to be more change in 20 years than there was in the last 200 years. When they said that thing, we didn't understand. But looking at it now, the speed of change is alarming. Think of 200 years. All the inventions that happened in 200 years, the train, the plane, the car, all of that, electricity, all of that. And they're telling us in 20 years, more things are going to happen than happened in 200 years combined. Yeah. Now, but let's not even go there. In 20 years, many of the voices that we know today are going to be off the stage. In politics, in church, in government, in business, there'll be new voices. So 20 years from now is 2045. I mean, technically, okay, 2044. Let me not mess with your... Before you now say, oh, Mr. David, I think 2024. 20 years from now is 2044. When the voices that are today are leaving the stage, who will replace them? And the voices that will be speaking in 2045 will not start speaking, will not start talking in 2045. There will be the voices that will start talking now. So that as the time is increasing, their volume is getting louder. Even if the volume is not getting louder, when the loud ones are going, that your same normal tone suddenly becomes the loudest. So you are not waiting for the old boys to leave the stage. You will start speaking in whatever space you want to speak now. So that as voices leave the stage, your voice becomes the next voice that they will hear. They told us that in this year, we're going to see the emergence of new voices. It's scary. How would we have thought that a revolutionary technology like ChatGPT will come from a company that was born in 2015? OpenAI. Where was Google? Where was Microsoft? when some boys just came on the scene and built ChatGPT and have become the most popular AI tool in the world. Do you know what underdogs are? What underdogs mean? I think maybe some of you are wondering, what am I talking about? Underdogs are Davids who bring down Goliaths. People who nobody give chances to. You are saying, if this is going to happen, these are the kinds of people that will do it. And then suddenly, people like us that don't look like anything show up. And they're like, where these guys come from? But we're going to see more and more and more upsets. Underdogs who are coming out to come and take spaces. New voices will be emerging across domains, across industries. Because the changes that are happening are creating cracks in the existing walls. And the old voices that are too occupied trying to fix the cracks. They think that the crack is a defect. You don't realize that this craft is birthing something new. So this wall cracks. A normal architect says, oh, let's come and fix it. So the big boys in the industry are thinking, no, this is a small glitch. Let's correct it. But that glitch was actually meant to split this room. We need Davids who can see the openings on the helmet of Goliath and will say, that crack is the opportunity. Those are the guys or the guys or the girls or the girls that will take prominence in this decade. And we can see that across industries. It's not just in technology. It's happening in so many spaces. This is your where this guy is born. This is it. The rise of underdogs. So, begging the banks, I want to add signatory to my account. I want to add somebody to my bank account to do transfer. And the bank is telling you, go and bring the left shoe of your great-grandfather that was buried under the... I mean, those requirements they give you don't make sense. And these guys just come and they're like, we're going to give you a button to tap. Tap on that button and you can add whoever you want to add and they can transfer money from your account. I'm like, wait a minute. So this was possible. Cracks in the wall. Every industry right now is producing cracks in the wall for those who have eyes to see. This is not the time to just be blind and follow normal and say, me, I'm in banking, I'm in architecture, I'm in accounting, I'm in law, I'm in this. What are the cracks happening in that industry? What are you able to see? Because now, when they said underdogs will rise, nobody's name was mentioned. Times and seasons. Understand that this is a season for the rise of underdogs. Know what needs to be done. How do I put my head in the game when there's an opportunity to rise and have the courage to do it? If you came late, you are lost. Because that was the foundation we laid. For those who came early know what I'm talking about. So it's not enough to say, oh, opportunities are coming. Can I recognize it? Do I know the action I need to take? And am I able to plug in? Give me the next one. Popular trends that we're seeing in the decade. It's the exponential decade of speed. Now, this one scares, for me personally, it scares me. When I see how fast things are happening, how fast things are changing, the speed at which some things are emerging and some things are getting obsolete. Was it not just yesterday that we were comfortable using the technology? Today, they'll tell you that it's no longer there. Or no, something new has come. Things are happening fast, and we're going to see way more speed. So it won't be enough to just say, oh, I have an idea. I have a vision this season. I want to blog it. I want to launch it. When the idea came to your head, it also dropped in 500 people's heads. Speed of implementation. How fast can you act on it? How fast can you get going with it? How can you use the existing tools? This is not the season for linear growth. This is the season for exponential growth. Now, what's the difference? What's linear? Ate 27 times. Meaning you've gone around 1, 2, 3, 4, 27 times. I did the math before coming. So I have the number. 1,073,741,824. 30 same steps at exponential growth. So you might think, oh, but we started together. You are doing linear growth. Somebody's doing exponential growth. You are still here. And you see the funny part? When you start, you all look the same. At 1, you are at 1. First step, both of us reach 2. So we think we are going together. Next step, you go to 4. They went to 3. They're like, hey, no difference, not too much. Wait for step 5 and 6. So you are here saying, when did these guys come? When did they start? What do they even know? They are leveraging exponential growth. You are doing what? Normal speed. This is not the season of normal. And you see, exponential growth has a formula. In fact, I will come back to this, but let me give you this formula first. Now, in case you don't know, I studied mathematics and computer science, so I know small mathematics. This is the official mathematical formula for exponential growth. You can plot a graph along the x-axis. Now, each of those variables there has a meaning that can actually be translated to whatever you are doing. If you run a business, you can translate this formula to that business. If you run a ministry, you can translate this formula to the ministry. So you can actually apply this formula to experience excruciating, if that word exists. That's for pain, but I'm calling it speed. I don't use the word exponential speed anymore, but you can experience like supersonic speed in what you are doing if you're able to apply this. But I'll talk about this down the line. This is the season that we are in. We're seeing a global reset. We're seeing shiftings happening economically, technologically. Now you're asking yourself, so Mr. David, thank you. This is happening. How will you take concern me? I know some of you are already waiting for that. How does it concern? Please give me the next slide. What should I do? Now, this is where I'm actually going, where it begin to concern you. And it will concern you small, then to concern you very well. We said, if you will maximize change, you need to be able to understand the times and seasons, know what needs to be done, and have the courage to do it. Now, I just gave you an idea of what the current times and seasons are saying. And this is not just a Nigerian matter. Wherever you're joining from, I have people on this call today from all over the world, Australia, Ghana, America, different parts of the world. The data is happening everywhere. The thing is that we can see it going everywhere. What do you need to do? Give me the next slide. Number one, this is not the thing to say, but this military, why is Burkina Faso driving France? Why is Mali taking over from this war, that? There's a shift happening. Why did I say it's a reset decade? Reset meaning the things that are happening in these 2020s are actually setting the stage for how the world will run in the next 50 years. In case you don't understand. That's why for me it's very personal. Like I said, many of us ignore the first 5 years. And if we ignore the next 5 years, we just wake up and realize that the world has left us. Because suddenly there will be new thrones, there will be new voices, there will be new people taking over everywhere. And we're wondering, how did we get left out? What happened? How come we are no longer on the scene? How come we're not there? So you need to start positioning. Start thinking, how do I position myself to be relevant, starting where I am and taking it beyond where I am, where this is local? Give me the next slide, please. Now, I'm going to share with you some defining factors. These are not my ideas. These are product of proper research, data, studies. These are factors defining this decade. Everybody who is rising in this decade, everybody who is stepping out to emergence in this current decade, there is something they know. There is something they are doing. There's something that is working for them. If you will play the game that they are playing at the level they are playing, you will need to know what they know. There are about 10 of these factors. I'm going to share only 5 with you. I picked up 5 I think are very relevant today. But there are about 10 of them. 5 of them I'm sharing with you. These are the things. If you will not be at the back bench of any industry you are in, you will pay attention to these things. If you will rise and go beyond, the physical audience is in Uyo right now. I know there's a way you can think that the world revolves around you and that this is all that there is to life. But when you go out, you realize that, look, people are playing this game at a different level. There are levels to this game. There are levels to this thing. And understand that whatever is happening around you is not a function of that thing. It's a function of who you are. For example, when we say your personal economy, your personal finances are not a reflection of the economy of your country. They are a reflection of who you are. Because in that same economy, others are living large. So when you are saying, hey, economy is bad, there's scarcity, I keep saying, scarcity is artificial. Scarcity is not real. The nature of the earth is abundance. The order of nature is abundance. Throw a seed on the floor, what happens to it? It grows, it multiplies. God, everything God puts, multiplication is there. There is enough resources on the earth to go around everybody. But the dynamics of power understands that if we must keep people under control, we must ration resources and keep some people in poverty. And so when you don't understand how that system works, you just think that what I'm getting is what life brought to me. No, what you are getting is what you position to receive. This economy is not bad. The money did not go anywhere. Aliens did not come and pack our money, sir. So if the economy was good 10 years ago and the economy is bad now, where did the money go? Scarcity, what we call famine, what we call recession, is simply a redirection of the flow of resources. You are standing here and resources were away before, and suddenly there is a redirection and the money is flowing elsewhere. But you stood where you were and you say the economy is bad, the sun is there. Oga, follow where the thing they flow. That's how to beat it. That's how to ensure that if you understand those dynamics, recession has got nothing on you. Economy does not have any power over you. You can live your life at any level, irrespective of what is happening. So, what are the defining factors that are fueling the emergence and rises of new voices in the decade? Give me number one. Number one is vision. This is the decade of vision. This is the decade where it is what you birth that will command the attention of nations. We are seeing more and more that this is not the time where sitting in the back of a chair in an office is what defines you as a big boy, as an influencer. We're not saying work is bad. But if you will command the attention of the world in this age and time and this season, you must be someone who has the ability to receive, nurture, and birth a vision. Because it is vision that brings you to the table and to the rooms where important decisions are made, where things matter. Nobody is calling you to any room because they like your face. This is an age where we understand that God is trying to do a lot of things at the same time. I mean, basically, what is vision? The ability to take something that needs to be done and bring it to life. God is putting ideas in people's minds. And like I tell most of the people that are around me, I tell, you see, what we call purpose and calling is simply we receiving an idea from God and partnering with him to execute it on earth. Each time God wants to do something in the world, he's asking, who can help me with this? Who can help me with this? There are ideas God wants to execute. And not be today, it don't take. I'm sure God one day sat down and said, these human beings are too slow. Like too slow. Because one day he needed speed and humanity had not invented speed. One guy from Ethiopia went to Jerusalem for worship and was leaving. And the reason he came, he never do. God was like, I need to get this man to understand something. So he goes back to Africa with an idea. And the man was going, and God said, no, who can explain this to this guy? The fastest person, if you start running, no go reach there. Sure you know what I'm talking about? God said, Philippian Airlines. Which in the Bible, God took Philip and brought him there and said, oh yeah, do it. When he finished, took him. After that day, God said, you see, when I see these people are too slow, they need speed. I'm sure from that day, God began to think, man should fly. Man should be able to get anywhere in the world within hours. And God began to think, who can help me execute this on the earth? But you see, many of us, our religious minds think that anything God gives us, if it does not revolve around church, is not God. God is giving you a vision for the advancement of humanity, but it does not require you holding microphone in church. And like, no, this is not God. If it is God, no. If the callings of God, there are only 5. If you are not prophet, you are apostle, you are pastor, you are teacher, or you are what? Evangelist. This one that has to do with flying people, this is not God. So let me go. One of my friends will say, are you aware that the guy who invented the cure for malaria has probably done more miracles than any pastor will? Which is bigger? This person is dying of cancer, and I have the healing anointing, and I can lay my hands and heal the person. And somebody somewhere receives a vision and creates a cure for cancer that can save millions of people around the world. Who did the bigger miracle? Which one looks more like God? Which one looks more like what God wants to do? See, God does not run the world by miracles. God runs the world by principles. Miracles are only temporary interventions for where the principle is not working, where the system is broken, and there's no human being who understands the system. And God says, these people say, okay, let me shall do miracle. Since the day God made the sun, he has not come down to come and adjust it. He put it in a system called the solar system. So the sun, you don't need to pray and fast for the sun to rise. It rises. When you breathe in, do you pray and say, Father, I need to breathe out? There's a system called the respiratory system. It takes it in and means that by itself, the system is working. God has put everything in humanity in systems. When you understand the systems that God has put in place, you will not need a miracle. Miracles are when people don't understand the system, or they have done something to tamper with the system, and God says, let me help you. Out of your ignorance, or maybe the human condition has not reached that level yet. The person I gave the idea to make this thing a generally acceptable system in the world is still thinking and saying, he's still speaking in tongues. For those of you who think that I'm not born again, I am. Does anybody have a Bible? Please, I want to read the scripture. I want to Romans 1:20. I really need to touch this. Romans 1:20. So that they can hear you if you're there. Are you
For the invisible things of him from the creature of the world are clearly seen,
Visible things of him, of who? Who is the him? The visible things of God from the creation of the world are clearly seen. How?
being understood by the things that are made,
Are clearly seen and understood by the things that are made. Do you understand what that means? We don't see God. God is invisible. But God reveals his invisibleness and invisible nature to the world through what? The things that are seen.
even his eternal power,
Even his eternal power, meaning the eternal power of God that we go and with the power of God. How is it made seen to the world? By the things that are made, things that are seen. What that simply means is when we want to understand God, it's not up you should be looking, it's down you should be looking. What are the things that have been made that help us understand who God is? So, whenever God wants to reveal himself to humanity, he causes something to be made that humans can interact with. So, when we go into that spiritual place and you go to that fasting and prayer for 7 days and you rise to the ascent to the third dimensions of the heavens and you commune with the angels and everything, after that experience, when you come back to here, don't come and tell us how the experience was. Translate the experience to what we can see. Turn it to products, turn it to services, turn it to systems, to structures, to curriculum, to inventions. Let us experience something that we can say this could not have come from here. It's the decade of vision. God is planting ideas in the minds of people. If you will be strategically positioned in the next 5 years, leading to relevance, global relevance, by the way. I'm not talking about local, global relevance in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Okay. You must have vision. You must be able to receive, must be able to capture, process, nurture, and give birth to a vision. Some of you listening to me right now, you have already received. You know that there's something God has designed, God has planted in your heart. You know it has been there. You know that this is something I am responsible for bringing to existence in humanity. 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, we are still there. And we are praying one day God will announce me to the world. The thing that should announce you to the world is still unborn. The vision that should attract, we say, and the nations will come to my light and kings to my rising. What will bring the nations? The vision that should bring the nation, the thing that you're supposed to do that will attract the nations. You never born them. The nations will come. They are coming. Amen. Okay, you will say you will claim it, you will receive it, it will not come. Because the system that should bring them is not in place. You're expecting miracles for them to come by miracles. No, they won't. Remember, I said this is the age of the rise of underdogs. This is not by age. We're in the age when the time where you will see young people solving problems that are older than them. Because they have the ability to receive and bring to life a vision. The world does not care where you are from right now. What do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? What is that vision? What is that problem of humanity that people are waiting for somebody to solve? You're here. Sometimes I used to think, I tell myself, from Genesis, God created the earth. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. We thought the light was the sun and the moon and the stars, right? Actually, it is. But we thought that the light, God finished creation. Science tells us every second, about 3,000 new stars are being born. Meaning every day, about 275 million stars are being born. Let there be light never stopped. The light just kept on being. So let there be light is still being. When God said, let there be trees, have trees stopped growing? Creation never stopped. When God said, let there be fishes in the sea, we don't they chop fish, fish, they finish. Because as the fishes are being eaten, they are multiplying. Now, God is expanding the universe. And then he put man on one tiny planet called Earth and said, have dominion. You're in control. And then for thousands of years, all of us, the human species, we colonized ourselves on this one planet. And we believe that we have arrived. And I'm sure God is saying, these guys need to understand the works of my hands. Can they even go and explore the universe? Can they go and play around the planets and see what I have created? But man does not have the capacity to leave the earth. And God is, we don't know how long God has been planting that madness in somebody's head and saying, somebody needs to understand that I probably want them to leave the earth and explore. And then one crazy guy woke up one day. Vision. That madness has put him in places that he probably never thought he would get to. Today, we're not calling Elon Musk because we like his name. His vision has brought him to the world. People are capturing ideas and are saying, these ideas is not just going to be in my head. I'm going to bring it to life. And I'm sure that there are people here today. As I'm talking, you know that there's something that has dropped in your mind years now. But somehow you're thinking, it's not people like me that do it. That is why God brought a reset. So that everybody has the same level playing ground. And God told us, underdogs, I'm bringing David to fight Goliath. The established principalities will not be able to do this. I need fresh eyes. I need fresh minds. I need fresh thinking. And some of us, we are coming with fresh thinking, but we are going to cover ourselves with the shroud of old thinking. When David came, Saul was like, yes, boy, let me give you the old way of doing things. And David said, you know what they were trying to do to him? This weapon that they gave, this armor that they gave David, was practically boxing him to a method of fighting. He was going to have to use a spear. What were his chances of getting to that hole with a spear? Vision. This is the age of visions. People are going to be receiving visions that are bigger than them. So if it's bigger than you, it's normal. That is the way it comes. I told you at the beginning, this is not about next year. The things you are receiving, some of them, the incubation period of the vision alone is a whole year. So this is not about 2025. This is bigger. The adjustments you need, some of you, the vision will send you back to school. Because you will go back and do a 2-3 year program before the vision will even start speaking. And this is the season of positioning. If you don't go to that school now, by the time the vision is supposed to be showing up, the season has gone. So this is the time to capture and say, what is that thing that God is putting in my mind? I want you to think beyond next year. I want you to think beyond. This is beyond. See, if all you want to achieve in life is how to pay your rent, feed yourself, send your children to school, you are in the wrong meeting. Because you don't need to be here to be able to pay your bills. Any job can get you to pay your bills. We are talking bigger than paying bills. As in what the conversation we're having today is not about sending your kids to school. Of course, if you are here, say, even the bill I never finished the pay. No worries. We'll help you. We have something to help you. But after you have come out of that, you need to be thinking beyond that. This is the decade of vision. Number 2, thought leadership. I'm telling you, these are the factors that are responsible for the rise. Thought leadership rides right on the back of vision. Right on the back of vision. When you capture a vision and you begin to bring it to life, how will we hear about your vision? How will we know what is on your mind? Hello? So we will need you to be able to own a space, own a problem, and be able to exhibit an uncommon amount of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in that area that silences the world. That when you stand to speak on this subject, people sit down and listen to you. Interestingly, when this year started, I was talking to a small group and I told them, I said, this is the year to start building thought leadership. Some of them thought I was joking. When I was saying that, I was not speaking with data. Now, I have data to back everything I'm saying. I have the sources of all of. See, I can, because we just have 3 hours, I'm not going to take you to show you, okay, this is how, but this is the decade where thought leadership will put you in places. When you receive a vision and begin to birth it, you will be invited to rooms. You need to go into those rooms and show competence and show expertise and show that this thing, I'm not just telling you that this is what I think. No, you're going to speak with intelligence. You're going to speak with numbers, with data, with facts. You need to be able to enter spaces and own those spaces. These are the characteristics of the people who are going to rise in this decade. People who can establish thought leadership. Now, understand that this one is not a spiritual gift. It does not come from, you don't receive it. You receive vision. And then what you do with the vision, you're able to give birth to it. But in this space, you are building capacity. You are studying, you are reading, you are learning, you are building mastery in a space. When I say unusual, meaning if what you are coming to tell us is what you can hear everywhere, why are we coming? You must be able to find a space, that niche. Now, you can't be a thought leader in everything, but there needs to be something that brings you into some spaces. It is not by impartation. Proverbs 23:23, what does it say? Buy the truth and don't sell it. And buy what? Wisdom, insight, understanding. What's the keyword there? Buy. Number one, they sell them. Number two, they know they dash them. Meaning you will buy it. If you will have insight, if you will have understanding, if you will have wisdom, there is something you will need to do in the area of that your vision or your calling or your gifting that will actually enable you to stand in front of places and not be afraid and not be ashamed. The Bible says a workman rightly dividing. Now, not the word of truth, the word of the domain of your vision. Meaning with confidence, with knowledge, with ability, rightly dividing the word of truth. Thought leadership is God's response to the many needs in the world. There are many questions. See, let me tell you. You see this humanity, we humans, we're confused though. There's a lot of problem in so many places, and we really think that our leaders know what they are doing. If you've been in those high-powered rooms many times, you will know that many times, even there, they're just doing guesswork. A lot of guesswork happening in the highest rooms of leadership. And even those places, they're asking, who sabi this thing? Who understands this thing that we can call? And let me tell you, when the men in power find somebody who understands this space, they go after you. I know what I'm talking about. We've seen people called into rooms. People, unassuming people, they will say, people are telling people about people. They say, no, that person is that. If he's in this area, talk to that person. And so the question is, in that area, what is the area where when the world has a problem, or in that problem that the world has, you are the one to bring the answer? Now, intelligence and expertise is not the same as thought leadership. You can be intelligent and an expert in your domain. Do we know you? A thought leader is an expert who is known, who is recognized, and in most cases rewarded for their knowledge. So many times we're building knowledge, we're studying, we're reading, we understand our space. But in that space, nobody knows you. You have not built that level of thought leadership. This decade, we'll see people paying tremendous amount of money for knowledge. One of the things we say is this is the decade of knowledge. This decade, knowledge is rising. People are chasing after knowledge. Have you noticed the number of programs, knowledge-based programs available out there now? Coaching, courses, all manner of things. People are paying and they're not cheap. If I tell you how much I have spent this year on knowledge, it's scary. It is scary. Rooms where I just to go and sit in a room for 2-3 days, access to the room is in millions. Because somebody has understood a domain and says, this is the space. If you want to enter this space, I'm the gatekeeper here. You will pay me to access this knowledge because I have built expertise and leadership in the area of this knowledge. So what's the area that you're building this? Give me number 3. And number 3 begins to hit a little bit under the belt. I will have said money, but it's beyond money. See, do you know that wealth is a factor of influence? There is a level of influence you cannot have if you don't have some amount of money. Okay, I think I've been talking for a little bit too much. Let's do a simple activity. You have your biros. If I am to give you a blank check right now, how much will you write on it? No, this is not it's not a rhetorical question. I need an answer. If I say I want to give you an amount of money today, how much do you need? Like seriously. Write it down on your paper. Write it down. Type it. Don't leave it in your mind. Write it. Because you know when you have to write, you must make a decision. Now, many of you have not answered that question because, right. Have you written? Now, anybody wrote something? I won't ask you how much you wrote, but anybody wrote something? Who wrote something? Please, I need a microphone. Now, let's start with you. The amount of money you wrote, if I give it to you right now, what will you do with it?
All right.
You buy power bank.
All right. So there's something the Lord has placed in my heart. All right. So it's a plantation. I intend on starting a plantation. So first of all, if I get that kind of money, I will begin my plantation.
Okay, thank you. You begin this plantation. Now, why do you want a plantation?
Was placed in my heart.
To do what? What will you do with the plantation?
It's Nigeria is a whole. Even when we produce food, we still want more. So the population is increasing. So in order to cure hunger.
Cure hunger.
Yes. All right. To feed the nation.
To feed the nation.
Yes.
Okay. He wants to plant a plantation. Yes, sir. You raise your hand. Yes, please. If you have that amount of money in your blank check, what will you do with it?
I have okay. The diaspora, a lot of people have been jackparing. So I have a plan to ship food to those who are in diaspora.
So you ship food to them?
Because of my knowledge I haven't have a knowledge of how it works out there.
Okay.
Most of the food they have in Europe and most of the not really designed for us. So if they have to adjust, really, especially for those who are already adults, I'll ship food to them.
Okay. Now, if that works, no, hold on with the mic. When that is working, are you making money?
Yes, of course.
So when you make money from shipping food, what will you do with that money?
Of course, I will basically human development.
Develop what?
Develop people. Through knowledge, share knowledge. I'm not taking the money anyway. We're not taking any money anyone out of this world. So,
okay. So shipping food is so that you can make money. Then when you have made enough money, then you can develop human capital.
Not necessarily. We can be going on side by side.
Why didn't you start with human capital? Okay.
It can be going on side by side.
Please pay attention to the answers. There's a pattern emerging. Please, next person. You can start talking. You have all the money you need. What will you do with it?
Hello, good evening. Yeah, so
Just go ahead. What will you do with the money?
my name is Tobi Odoide. So if I get the amount of money I wrote down, I've had a vision since I was a kid to study aeronautical engineering.
Okay.
So as it stands now, financially, that dream is still a long way off.
Okay.
So the first thing I would do with that amount of money is pursue my education while investing it sideways to create a money flow. So on
okay.
achieving my education
Okay.
and getting the degrees and the ability to get the opportunities I want to come back to Nigeria and create at least an opportunity for those who have those dreams that they feel because of the society or because of the way we arrange things, they can't achieve it like that.
Thank you. Now, I could go to 5, 6, 7 people, and we're going to see that the pattern is going to emerge. Now, let's start with him. When you have all the money you need, the first thing you will do, sort yourself out. After you have sorted yourself out, then you can think of other people. Leave Mr. Peter. He said it is to export food to diaspora. It sounds like it's the people that he's thinking about, but he has seen an opportunity there. In exporting food, you will make money. Now, whatever amount of money you wrote, if I give you that amount of money and you finish it, what next? What do you have to do next? You need another money. What do you have to do with the money after that? Because let's be honest, almost all of you now, if I give you 5 million today, I don't think the money will reach tomorrow. You have enough needs to finish that money today. Those needs that are finishing the money, whose needs are they? First of all, you will take care of yourself. Your rent, your outstanding bills, your school fees, whatever. When you have sorted yourself out and you have more money, next thing is you will think, my family. I have one auntie, my parents' house is not well furnished, I'll furnish it. You will sort people out. When you've done that, what will you do next? You will think, who else around me? My church, my this, my that. You will sort people. You always say you won't even reach that side. Now, but this is the point. When you do this 3, 4, 5, 6 times, you get to a point, all your needs are met. And at that point, that's when you start thinking of humanity. Because everybody you ask this question, after your own bills have been paid, you're thinking of people. He said plantation to feed Nigerians. He said when he's done with that, then human capacity development. Let's help people. After I have achieved my dream, what that simply means is that the world cannot get the best of you until you have taken care of yourself. The world needs you rich. The world needs you to be rich so that the world can benefit from you. Until you are comfortable, you can be doing some things out of obligation, but the real you, every one of us in this room, there's a problem in the world that you see, that when all your needs are met, you will face it with money. At the bottom of your heart, there is an impact you want to make that is beyond feeding yourself. But that cannot happen with your house rent unpaid. When you get money, the first thing you're thinking about is, calm down first. Let me sort myself out. You know, many of us approach this subject of wealth with a little pinch of guilt. We think it is selfish to desire to be wealthy. So we don't talk about it. We don't say, I want to be rich. We think that, being rich is a sign of your backsliding. There's a quote on the screen. Can you give me that quote? Whatever may be said in praise of poverty, the fact remains that it is not possible to live a really complete or successful life unless one is rich. No one can rise to his greatest possible height in talent or soul development unless he has plenty of money. For to unfold the soul and to develop talent, he must have money to use. Aeronautics course, those all of those courses, and he cannot have these things unless what he has money to buy them with. A person develops in mind, soul, and body by making use of things, and society is so organized that man must have money in order to become the possessor of things. I didn't say that. It's a quote. No matter how we try to make poverty look spiritual, poverty is not synonymous with spirituality. You are not more spiritual when you are poor. In fact, as a matter of fact, the spirituality that is induced by poverty is circumstantial. Because you are close to God because you need something from God constantly. That is not genuine worship, that is transaction. We know whether you love God or not when you are comfortable and you love God. Then that is when God knows that you love him. That is why God could tell this to the devil, have you seen Job? That guy needs nothing, yet he honors me. And if you read Job, like I used to say, I think Job is one of the most underrated guys in the Bible. We think of Job just from the angle of his sufferings. When you read Job, Job says, there's nobody that was in need I did not help. He says, I snatched the wicked from the hands of their oppressors. Meaning, if Job is driving by and he sees police harassing somebody, he will park and say, what did that guy do? I mean, go and read your Bible. Job, that is who Job was. It's there. When he was talking about the kind of things he did. In this age and time, let me put it very simple and plain. If you don't have money, it will be difficult for the world to hear your voice. Not because money is what will buy their attention, but because until you have gotten comfortable, you don't have the level of productivity that you need to bring vision to life. There are ideas in your mind that needs to be developed, but you're thinking of hunger. You wake up in the morning, you're thinking, what will I eat? I keep saying this. Survival is one of the biggest enemies of innovation. How many people in this country, around the world, on this continent, have fantastic ideas they cannot pursue because they must pay bills at the end of the month? So they take jobs they don't like to earn salary to survive. And the real vision is in their head. And they're saying, one day after I have saved money, I will pursue this. And then they never save that money because the system is not designed to get you to that point. The way the system is designed, you will remain in that cycle of slavery. And making money is a science. Give me the next quote. Same guy. When we say it's a science, there is a science to getting rich. And it's an exact science. Like what? Do you know what mathematics is? 2 plus 2 is what? Go to Jupiter and come back, it is 4. Getting rich, there is a method to it. There is a science to it. Anybody can follow it and make money. Money is not mysterious. Money was invented by human beings. There's a science behind the flow of money. It says there are certain laws that govern the process of acquiring riches. And once these laws, you see, you call them laws. You know what laws are? Wait, you are a lawyer. Laws, they are sacrosanct. These are laws. Once these laws are learned and obeyed by his graduates, by doctors, anyone, that person will get rich with what? As in, na formula. 2 plus 2 plus 2 will give you 6. If you're not getting 6, then you're not doing the right thing. So, getting rich is not a matter of if I am lucky. You don't need luck to be rich. There's a how to getting rich. You just don't know the how. That's why you are where you are. People who understand it are not fasting and praying because prayer does not cure poverty. I don't know how that sounds and attacks your theology. If prayer cures poverty, the prayer houses will be the richest places in the world. It does not. What prayer does, prayer puts you in sync with the process. There's a process. There are variables you need to put into. Prayer opens your eyes to see. Prayer opens your mind to receive. But there is a mathematical method to getting these things done. Wealth is going to be one of the factors that fuel people who rise in this decade. I have done things. Somebody recently asked me. I mean, I keep talking about this, right? Because it's something that's even after doing it, I spent about 3 years building a curriculum for computer programming for children. 3 years writing textbook that 7-year-olds will use to learn how to program computers. After I published the book, somebody recently asked me, said, Dave, how did you stay true on this? I said, because I wasn't hungry. That's the truth. If I had to feed my family, I would have done. I would have abandoned books since go find job. Other things feeding me, so I could pay attention to this. Now, what I have done in that space is future thinking. I'm positioning the next generation for influence and relevance. But I could not have done that if I had to pay bills every month from the work of my hand. But you see, when you have systems, when there's a level of, I write a lot. The inspiration I get in some atmospheres are different from the ones I get in other atmospheres. If I can determine the atmosphere that gives me the best ideas, and I can turn my apartment to that atmosphere, do you know how productive I'll be? I wake up every day in inspiration. What do I need to do that? Money. Not the one that your neighbor generated behind your eyes. How can you think in that kind of a place? Even your house, when they particularly you are sweating, in sweat, you cannot be innovative. You can't do anything reasonable. So when I say wealth, I'm not saying it from a perspective of carnality. I'm telling you this is a tool for rising to influence. So when you see wealth from that perspective, you will ask yourself, what do I need to do? I'm not trying to be rich because I just want to form. I know that there are ideas God has put in my head to bet, and they will never happen if I am thinking every day of food. So if you will rise to influence in this decade and in the next few years, you will have to pause and deal with this matter of money and say, look, I need to clear this. I need to get to a point where money is not a matter. And you see, in the journey of wealth, there are 3 levels: getting rich, staying sane in the midst of riches. Getting rich is, how do I escape Shapa? How do I first unlock this money? How do I get to the point where I can pay my bills? Well, what I eat is not a function of what is available, but what I feel like eating. That's the level 1. You need to get to that point where you can pay your bills, you are comfortable. That's first level. Second level is, how does this level of life become irreversible? That's what I call staying rich. You get to a point where nothing happens can take you back to poverty. If your poverty is irreversible, you have not escaped level 1. No, there's wealth that is reversible. You blow, then you unblow. No, you need to get to a point, and I'm not trying to. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm telling you facts here. You need to get to a point where some things are forgotten matters. How these bills get paid, I don't need to think before they get paid. Opportunity comes right now. Imagine that you are a thought leader in a space, you receive this vision, and then there's an opportunity to make a presentation to a particular panel in one country. Flight money don't become prayer and fasting matter. That opportunity will come and pass. Your voice is in Uyo, they have not heard it. Your voice is in Accra, your voice is in wherever you are, and the world needs to hear your voice, but you don't have what it takes to carry yourself there. Because you can't pay the bills. You know that some of this suffering that we are suffering, many of us, you want to go somewhere, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, you're applying for visa. Money can end that rubbish. Because all of these countries that have 160 visa-free countries, they can be acquired with money. Do you know you can get a US passport by investment? It's the amount of money you invest today, in 6 months, you're an American citizen. They will give you that passport. And suddenly, visa is no longer a headache to you anywhere in the world. The issue of money has to be dealt with, guys. Like I said in the beginning, this is not about next year. I get in my point now. This is about positioning for influence for the next 50 years. Get to that point where you're not thinking and saying, school fees time again. And suddenly all your creativity just dies. Because now you're saying, what can we sell so that we can pay school fees? There's a research you need to be able to pursue in your space. You need to be able to shut down for 3 months to dig in and unlock some level of new knowledge that the world needs. As you are now, can you shut down for 3 months? Go where? To go where? So yes, wealth. And we need to learn how to make wealth. I mean, I'm not going to talk about wealth because these are things I actually teach in my coaching programs. There are ways to make money. There are 2 ways to make money: by thought or by toil. You can think your way to riches or you can toil your way to riches. Most of us have taken the second option. We hustle our way to riches. It's down again. Okay, they keep transforming me back and forth. All right, please give me the next one. I think I'm just going to share 5 with you, and then we're going to break it down into action points. Give me the 4th point. We talked about vision. We've talked about what next? Thought leadership. We've talked about, there's a 4th one. Who is on my slide? Alliances and partnerships. Every vision will need people. Every vision, in fact, your vision has to be bigger than you. The kind of vision that transforms the world is bigger than one person. And so you will need to know how to leverage people, how to leverage relationships, how to leverage partnership and alliances to bring to birth what God has given you and to rise to influence and dominance. You know, we know some of the biggest companies in the world, and we know the people who founded them. But sometimes we don't know the backstory. Who built Tesla? Elon Musk. Who knows how many, what percentage of Tesla Elon Musk owns? Guess. How many percentage of Tesla does he own? Give me a number, guess. 60, 30, 35, 5. He owns 13%, 1-3. So 87% of Tesla is not owned by Elon Musk. He owns 13% and is the richest man in the world. Bill Gates of Microsoft, who knows how many percent he owns? 1.3. Bill Gates owns 1.3% of Microsoft. Jeff Bezos owns 8.8% of Amazon. You know our own method. President General among the nations. You are the founder general, CEO, captain, brigadier general of the company. Everything must revolve around you. That is why we don't go anywhere. That's why that vision stays on the ground and cannot take off. Because only you don't have the capacity to take it off the ground, sir. You were only the custodian of it to give birth to it. There was an array of people waiting, created with different skills and competencies, whose lives and individual callings are tied to that vision. And you're supposed to bring it out and align with them and create partnerships that will take it off the ground. But no. Must be the 100% owner of it. That mentality in this decade will keep you in your village. They keep saying this. 10% of 10 billion is still bigger than 100% of 10 million. So you own it, but you can get 10 million. But you can get 9 other people or 5 other people who have different competencies that can ally or alliance with you. What is the correct English? Align with you. Thank you. The thing is flying from my head. I can align with you and say, let's get this to the promised land. Let's get this vision out. Let's get this vision going. And in fact, when I come to talk about some of the personal competencies, how you should be thinking in the coming year, this is one of them, because I can just jump ahead of myself. Even if you don't own a vision, even if you are not the person who bettered the vision, even if you work in a company, something has to start changing in the way you think. You must start thinking like a builder. You must start thinking, how do I own something or own a part of something in this coming season? Even the places you work, you need to start thinking at that level. I may not be the owner, I may not be the one who brought it to life, but start thinking, this is a season of ownerships. This is a season of owners. How do I become a part of something? But one of the things you will need to do in this season is start asking yourself, I need to be able to create partnerships. And there are competencies you need to build. How do I connect with the kind of people that I need? People that you need may not come and find you where you are. So, in this positioning matter, you will need to be able to go out to the kind of places where you will meet the people who are going to be instrumental to giving birth to your vision. You need to find yourself in the places, and you need to be able to recognize competencies and say, oh, this man has something that I need. I need to be able to negotiate. You know, it was Moses that God told people should go to the promised land from Egypt. Moses found a man, his father-in-law. Let's say, sir, can you come with us? You understand the bush part more than we do. Come with us. We will give you a part of the inheritance there. He was negotiating equity. Because he understood that getting to the promised land, we don't know this road. But these guys sabi the road. Okay, join us. You see principles in the Bible hidden in plain sight. But we don't recognize them. We say, no, I have this vision. It's me that God gave. It's me that God gave. The promised land is my own. That promised land, you won't reach there. You will see flash. Because along that vision, to give birth to that vision, there are people with competencies that you need. So you are a technological savvy person, but you don't have the market skills. You don't have the business skills. Okay. Bros, you sabi sell, I sabi build. Have you noticed that no serious company in the world has one founder? No serious company in the world, they are co-founder. Why do you think it's so? The vision started with one person, no? Usually one person, but you just realize, no, this is not possible. I can't build this. Okay, and he goes back and he goes back and goes back. Which is why also, as an individual, some of you have been blessed with the competencies that people need. And instead of you to align with something that is going somewhere, you also want to be president, general of the village. That's the thinking that needs to start changing. This is beyond 2025. I'm talking about how do you position strategically in this season and in this decade. And give me the last one. I think I'm just going to talk about 5. Tribes and communities. This season, this decade is riding on the back of communities and tribes. This is, so some of these things, they are just right in front of us, that sometimes we don't even realize that they are happening and they are there. Change will be driven in communities. Oh, in fact, not will be. Already, change is being driven in communities. Visions are creating tribes around themselves. People are attracting people to their vision. People who recognize, align, identify with a particular idea or a vision, and they are creating communities that drive those visions. So every vision will need to build and attract its own tribe. If you will thrive in this decade, ability to build movements of people around your idea will be key. Of course, you may not be the person who can do it, but you will need somebody who is able to do it. Because now, even the gospel that we preach, discipleship is happening in tribes and communities. You know, one of those, this has not happened to me very recently anymore, because I think I'm also changing small. Because the time I used to feel very odd. I used to go for a lot of tech founder meetings. And when I go for those meetings, I used to feel very odd and very strange. You know why? I'll enter a meeting room like this, tech hangout. Just everybody here is a tech founder or CEO. And I'll be the only person looking normal. They either have half of the hair yellow, the other half is pink, or you don't know that it's a boy or a girl because the hair is reaching their back. And I'm like, why am I the only person looking normal here? But you see, that's a tribe. That's a tribe. And I discovered, initially I wanted to run away from that. I wanted to pump and say, no, I'm not doing this thing. And one day, the Holy Spirit told me, There are people in this place that need to see you, I need to hear you, I need to experience you. That's the reason why you are in this room. So I just had to tell myself, okay, this is one of the tribes I belong to. So when we are talking, there are days we go for meetings, I'll just hang out in places where normally me, I would not have gone. And we go to those places and they're like, oh, okay, you know what? David does not drink. David does not drink. They know. And we're talking and we're talking. And after a while, they start to defer to my wisdom. They're like, hey, David, that's what you're talking about. Can you come and talk to my team? Can you come and talk to our organization on that subject we're talking? I mean, I'm suddenly finding out, okay. This is an inroad. Now, this is just even about influence on one side, gospel influence. Now, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about promoting your ideas. Now, companies are building tribes of their customers, are building tribes around their consumers, are building tribes around their markets. They are creating communities. This is something that we see that is shaping the future over and over. Now, these are some major trends that are happening, and these are some of the things that are fueling the rise to greatness and influence in this decade and positioning for the next. Now, the next slide, the third part of this meeting. Remember, we talked about the first part, times and seasons. We talked about the decade, and I say, what should you do? And we talked about what is going to fuel rise. Now, 2025, let's talk about the next year, because I've been talking very high and up. Now, let's bring it home gradually. What should I do in 2025? Give me the first slide. Because talk about positioning. Positioning has been abstract all along, but this is where I think you should start from. What should you do? Pay attention to yourself, because everything you do stems from who you are. Now, what do I mean by pay attention to yourself? I said this earlier. Your personal finances is not a reflection of Nigeria's economy. It's a reflection of your personal capacity to attract resources. Even if the economy is good, some people will still have the same amount of money that they have. Because it is not an economic problem. It's a person problem. You get what you are able to attract. Even if we carry money and dash you, it does not change your life. Because you cannot keep whatever you didn't have the capacity to attract. If you cannot attract it, you can't keep it. You can't retain it. So, understand that your finance, social life, your ministry, your work, oh, but I'm doing this and it's not working. The problem is not this. Where the problem is? It's here. So I your pastors, and we'll talk a lot around ministry matters. And here we're talking about, oh, you know, it's our location that is the problem. The church is not growing. And I say, no, it's not your location, sir. There are people in that location. Even if we carry you from a small town and put in a big city, I'm not sure you can. If you don't have the capacity to attract more than that, I've shared this story many times. My wife is somewhere here. We run a school. And this is an example I've given a couple of times. When we started our school, and our school was growing, we reached a particular point and the school stopped growing. Like the school just plateaued around 70 people. When we started 5, 20, 25, 40, we were growing steadily. We reached 70. Flat. We stayed long at 70. If it will cross 70 by 5, something will happen. A few weeks later, back to 65. We were oscillating around that 72, 68, 72. And I began to ask myself, what is going on? Is there a principality that is sitting at the junction called 70? Are they, you understand? Now you think it's spiritual? It's not spiritual. We started to study organization, started to study growth. And I just realized, no, the problem was not the school. The problem was two of us. We are the leaders of the school. Everything you do rises to your level. The school got to where it had reached our own personal capacity. Our limit to manage people and our limit to manage resources. We had reached our limit. We could not, at that point, if we make any more hiring decision, that hire will be a wrong one. So we had about 14, 15 staff at that point. That was our leadership capacity limit. That was our own personal limit. The 16th person you will employ will be a wrong one. That person will come and do something that will drive 5 parents away. Then you fire the person and then you are trying to build again. Or you make one investment that you waste money and you spend time. Oh, you realize, wait, what's going on? And also, you know what? Let's leave this school alone. Let's focus on ourselves. That's when we started aggressive growth. When I say aggressive growth, like mad growth. Recently, I was looking at my budgets. I do annual budgets every year, family budgets. Way back as 6 years ago, my annual budget on personal growth was $1,000. 6 years ago, my budget was to spend $1,000 on growth, on knowledge. Of course, the dollar exchange was not this that time, but it was still hard to get. As hard as this one is, that's how that one too was hard. That was when we started traveling. They will announce one day seminar in Lagos for school leaders. Two of us will carry ourselves and we go. Imagine we go today, do seminar tomorrow, and then come back to you. And people that know us were like, what type of looking for all over the place? What are you chasing everywhere? As we focused on growth as individuals, we just woke up one day, school was 150. We don't even know what we did that got school to 150. Because whatever you do follows you. If you are a 2 million naira capacity human being, even if we give you 10 million, it will bring it to your level. And there's a way that somebody says it online. It says, if your brain is 5 million naira, if we give you 50 million, your brain stops working. When you spend the money to 5 million, then your brain reactivates. And you see, if you are a 50 million person, when we give you 5 million, you will take 5 million to 50 million. Because everything comes to your level. So, leave these matters. This is the problem. Everything you are experiencing is a function of your level. Once we understood that hack, I just told ourselves, this is it. Bagbe, we have hacked the game. Right now, I don't want to tell you how much we spend on personal growth yearly. It's scary. As in, it's scary. But we understand that the day we stop, everything we are doing stops. In the last 2 months, I don't think I've been in this city for a full week at once. What am I looking for everywhere? What am I chasing after? I told my team from October, I said, the remaining part of the year is for growth and planning. I'm not working anymore. I'm just growing. I'm going to all manner of places. I mean, one day somebody says, now what for now? But somebody and say, David and Lizzie, what are you building? Because the way people are growing, it's like you're cooking something. Of course, you're cooking something. Because if what we are doing will take over the world, we cannot be limited to one town. You can't be seen at the level of a city and expect that you will take over the world. You must understand that everything you do follows your level. So, going. When I was speaking somewhere this morning, when I went to Lagos Business School, and the school fees for the program I went to do, when somebody had the money, I was like, you pay that kind of money? I said, yes, I pay that kind of money. Say, what are they teaching you there? I said, you will not understand what they're teaching us there. You see, that money, now, so before you think that when we do those kind of things, it's because we have one stash of money. Those are crazy steps of faith. Because I understand that once I move, everything will move. There is no step we have taken that was comfortable when we took it. When I was taking that step, I negotiated the pay with the school. So can I pay you this, then pay you this? I don't have to come and tell you how I paid. But when I have met people in the room and one transaction is paying back my school fees, that time you say, see them, they are blowing. How will I not blow? It will be anti-principle for me not to blow. So, if you want to do something in the coming year, to say, this positioning you are talking about, where do I start from? Lowest hanging fruit, bottom line, first principles. This is the guy. So ask yourself, how am I thinking? Because as a person, the way you start working on yourself is from your thoughts. The Bible says, as a man thinketh. So, how are you thinking? What ways are you thinking? Because our thinking, we don't realize, is actually the reason we are where we are. You may not realize it. In fact, like I always say, we think that we think. Daniel, give me the next slide. We think that we think. But really, most times we are not thinking. We are simply, your brains have been programmed. And there's a data set that is responding that you don't even know. So I've done this example in a couple of places, but I'll do it again. How much is it to get to Lagos? Now some of you are laughing because I once bitten, twice shy. How much to get to Lagos? Now they are whispering. Every time I have done this, you know what they tell me? 35K, 40K. Do you know why they say 35K, 40K? Some of you right now, as I ask the question, you wanted to say 45K, but your mouth did not just carry it. True or false? You are laughing. Because somewhere in your subconscious, the way to go to Lagos is by bus. So when I ask you how much is it to go to Lagos, you are telling me the number at the level of your thinking. Now, I said, some of you, when I say how much to Lagos, you told me 150K. That is the price of economy ticket. That's your level. There's somebody else I'll ask the same question. He won't even check economy. For some people's apps are tuned to any ticket I'm taking, just check business. I know sometimes when I buy these tickets and I see the business price, and especially when I do long flights, I like to sit in front where there's so much leg room. So most times I am seeing, when they open that window, I'm seeing the guys in business class. I'm like, these guys don't have two heads now. But you know what? Because I bought the ticket, sometimes I used to peep to see the price of business. I'm like, you mean somebody is paying this money? But you know what I understood? It's the level of their mind. There's something these guys know that I don't know, that is making them to be able to afford it. If I know what they know, I will do what they are doing. So first start by investing in yourself. No, this is actually, okay, I think I've left it. The next slide. Yes, your thoughts. It starts from your thoughts. You want to change house, you want to rent house, and you call agent. I define house. We'll tell you, what do you define? Self-con, 1 bedroom. You don't think, you just answer. Do you know why? Because somewhere in your subconscious, what you deserve is self-con. That's what you believe. In fact, even if they say, let me show you house in so and so place, you're like, you will laugh. Like, me? Not my car person, they stay for that place. It's your subconscious. Thoughts are the creative power of the universe. We think it is words that create, but actually, it is thoughts that create, because words follow thoughts. In fact, when words go out, what shapes words are thoughts. When God said, let there be trees, how did tree determine its shape? The thought of God. God imagined what a tree will look like. He didn't need to describe it, just say, let there be tree. The creative power checked his thought and followed the order. So when you think something, you're actually creating. When I say thought are things, my office people, right now, they don't understand, because I just come to the office one day, I said, get me this on a coat and put on my office. So I'm now giving them all manner of things. I'll just wake up one day and said, happiness is there. She's the one collecting all these offerings. I say, get me a frame. Put this word on a frame. I want to be seeing it every day. The last one I gave you was this. Thoughts are things. So I want to see it every day, because I create what I think. And we think that thinking is natural. No. Your thinking is controlled by a conditioning of your mind. And that mind conditioning is powered by what you feed your mind over time, through what you see and what you hear consistently. So none of us was born poor. We all grew up and learned poverty. That is why the environment a man grows up determines the way he thinks. Because you grew up seeing things a particular way and hearing things a particular way. So you grew up and just everybody you grew up seeing was building houses after working for 25, 30 years in civil service. So you just believed that nobody builds house until they work for 25, 30 years. So even when you are in a season of life, when you are able to tap into resources to break that jinx, your programming tells you people don't build house at 25. They must have gotten to 50 first, then they start building house. And even when they are building house, they will do foundation, then wait. Then they will go to 5 blocks, then wait. Then they will do decking. So how building house is a 4-year project. Programming. Even when you have the capacity to break it, you don't realize that your thinking has been controlled. So if you will live a different kind of life, you will have to attack the root of that thinking. So there's a book called This Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I mean, you don't realize that subconscious mind is controlling everything. Daniel, please, I need for so there's something I want to talk about in the next slide. Yes, how you think. That's subconscious programming. It controls how you think. It controls the way you see things, the way you interpret things. So you can see something and you're interpreting it differently because of the way that your mind is wired to think. If you will do one thing now for next year, 2025, you need to become deliberate, angrily aggressive about saying, how do I change the way I think? How do I change the way I think? And you see, we think that this is a function of your today. Most times, it's a function of your yesterdays. Have you noticed that people are living in more abundance today, but the quality of their life is showing poverty? Because they don't even realize that your programming tells you that you're not even deserving of good things. You want to buy, you have the money to buy something, oh. When you price it and you hear the price, you're like, no. The money is in your pocket, oh. The money is in your account. You can afford it. But somewhere in your mind, you just told yourself, I don't deserve this. Keep that money. Let me manage. I mean, is there no cheaper one? Some of you are feeling attacked right now. So you bring yourself down and you are self-sabotaging yourself. You are at a place where even when God is opening doors to you, you see the door and you tell yourself, not people like me that can open doors. Why is my economy limited to the economy of my country? As in, out of really anger, I was angrily talking to myself like, no. The earth is the Lord's and its fullness thereof. There should be no place in the world I cannot earn from. It started entering my head. I said, no. David, you must start earning money from all over the world. Now, some of you, when I say that, already you have defeated yourself saying, what skill do I have to do remote job? Because somewhere in your mind, it's only tech guys that earn globally. And you tell yourself, I'm not in tech. So, you see, when I say your subconscious mind, as I mentioned that, your subconscious mind is already attacking you, telling you it's not you they're talking to, calm down. People they're talking to are hearing, not be you that they follow talk. What story are you telling yourself? What are you choosing to see? There's a way to think. There's what we call microscopic thinking. This is where you are. You are thinking inward, saying, what is happening inside? Your entire antenna is zoomed in on Nigeria. And so the reality of your local country. So if you're in Ghana, if you're in Kenya, if you're in South Africa, whatever, the economy of your country is telling you, this is our exchange rate. Oh. We don't buy courses in dollars. So once people price a course and they say, come and take this course in dollars. And let me tell you, sometimes the comfort, the greatest enemy of your growth is comfort. It's not even sometimes, it's a known thing. It's comfort. There's nothing you want to do to break out of limitation that will be easy. Over the last 2 years, I started building thought leadership in education. If you understand, my background is not in education. My first background was in tech. Then I moved into leadership space. Then I decided to go into education, but not just regular education, tech and STEM education, innovative education. And I asked myself, what do I need to do to become one of the number one voices on the continent in this space? So I began to research. I tell myself, there are certifications, there are courses that as I did my research, no Nigerian had in that space. I said, okay, I'm going to take these courses. I'm going to go for these schools. When you check the prices of those courses, of course, if no Nigerian has it, it's not in Unilag they are doing it. It's not in Uniport they are doing it. So you check those programs and you see the price, thousands of dollars. Natural thinking, I can't afford this. But I learned another hack. Money follows decisions. Now, I'm dropping a lot of things along the way that may not sound heavy, but if you understand it, it can change your life. Money follows decisions. I told myself I'll do this course. Then I went online and applied. How much is the application fee? First, $50. So I applied. The school fees is looking me in the face. I told myself, this thing, I will pay you. I will pay you. I think, have I shared with you the story of how that happened? I don't think I've shared that story. So maybe those in the inner circle, I don't even know I've shared it. First thing, they say admission. They're not qualified for admission. You can't come from computer science and leadership and come and do education. I said, what are you talking about? This thing, I will do it. So I wrote an appeal to the board. I said, this board should be this school. Now, human beings, when you understand this also, another principle, every decision in the world is made by human beings. They said, there's somebody sitting behind that table saying I'm not qualified. Wrote them one very long letter, attach every attachable to it, and told them, look, I may not study education, but I just wrote my full CV and told them what I do. And I said, okay, we'll give you the admission. Oh yeah, come and start. Pay the money. Then the real deal started. Where's the money? Now, when I say money follows decisions, that same week, on a casual call with a friend, he said, oh, David, man, I'm very angry. And I said, what are you angry about? Can you believe I moved my money to the US? I wanted to relocate to the US, move my money there, and I was denied visa. In fact, I'm not going to the US again. Now I want to move my money back to Nigeria and I can't move it. I'm like, okay, how do I want to consign me? Say, do you understand? I need to move my money back and I can't move it. And I wanted to say how you consign me again. It just hit me. Wait a minute. Where's your money? In the US. Why can't you move back? It's on a credit card. Credit card. Why don't you get people that you can pay things for abroad and they can pay you in Naira? I said, that's what I'm looking for. I say, I'm number one. I have school fees to pay. Pay with my card. I pay back some in Naira. You can pay me back. That day, school fees was paid. In full. He said, pay me back in Naira. Small. Do you understand? Money follows decisions. Now, if I had not made that decision, that conversation may still have happened, but I won't hear what I heard. So I'll just say, man, these people serve. Actually, when they collect the money, they collect them, but now they give back, they don't give back. In fact, these Americans serve. We'll put together, join, and abuse them. Meanwhile, opportunity was looking at me in the face. So you need to start thinking beyond narrow. Start asking yourself, what is happening around the world? How can I plug into what's happening? How do I fit into the big picture? What are the hot topics happening in the world? Don't just ask yourself, what is trending in my economy? What is trending in my locality? What is trending globally? Some of you want to go for a master's degree and you are asking yourself, you are asking your uncle to advise you. The uncle that went to school in 19 whatever cannot see where the world is going. He's telling you what course you can study. You are studying courses in Nigeria whose lifespan has ended. You are not hearing the discussions in the world. What are the trending topics in the world? Go and plug yourself into a field of study that will expose you to what the world is doing. That's what is called telescopic thinking. You need both. Think inward, but also Microscope helps you see what is too small that you cannot see. Telescope pulls what is far and bring it to you. So we use microscopes to look at bacteria. Or use telescopes to look at stars. So you need both views, both angles, able to see. And that means you must also tune your eyes. You're tuning your mind. In fact, the tool for tuning mind is eyes and ears. I teach this a lot. Your mind is a function of what you see and what you hear consistently. Whatever goes into your eyes and into your ears consistently will get into your heart and put your life on autopilot. So when I say your life is going on autopilot, when I ask you price of tickets, that was autopilot answering me. Because it has put your life at a particular level. In the coming year, guys, if anything will be different, if you will be different from the crowd, from the masses, from everybody else hustling and struggling for slavery in this economy, you will need to go beyond the average. Invest in yourself, in how you think, recondition your mind. Put yourself in the place where you can see abundance, you can see resources, you can see wealth. Give me the next one quickly. Yes. Now, this one. You see, many of us, we have started a journey of growth. And we got to a point, and we have had some big breaks in life. But your biggest break has become your final bus stop. Do you understand what that means? You are not an underachiever. You have achieved things. Possibly in your family, you were the first graduate of a particular space. You have achieved a particular space. You studied a very difficult course and you graduated. That's an achievement. But see, many of us, after that first achievement, we got to a point and we plateaued. In this coming year, you have to wake up and ask yourself, I must not stop. There's something I teach. It's called the growth cycle. And then the growth spiral. Now, the growth cycle is how information turns to transformation, or how information leads to transformation. Meaning, every new information you hear has the capacity to change you, to transform who you are. But most times, it does not, because we don't go through the cycle of growth. But many of us have gone through that cycle once and we have stopped. Now, we need to begin that cycle again and go through another level of growth. That's what we call the spiral. How do you continue growing perpetually? How do you ensure that your growth does not stop? In the coming year, you will have to ask yourself, what have I stopped doing that has made me stagnant? What are those things that I have stopped doing that has made me to plateau where I am? You will need to be able to beat stagnation and tell yourself, no, I need to resume my growth journey. I need to continue growing. I need to continue growing. I need to go beyond where I have been and where I have stopped. So what do you need to do to keep growing? New knowledge, new information, the cycle again. New knowledge, new information, take the cycle. New knowledge, new information, take the cycle. That's something that must happen. So for some of you who in the last 2 years, nothing new has happened in your life. When I say nothing new, what do you know today that you did not know 6 months ago? How wiser are you today than you were 6 months ago? How more knowledgeable are you today than you were 1 year ago? One of the best things you can do to yourself and to the world and for the world is to ensure that you never stop growing. Can you give me the next one? Yes, I was talking about this earlier. Please give me a second. Yeah, thank you. We're getting into a time when it's important you start thinking like an owner of something. Now, I know many of you here have created businesses. Many of you have created something. You own part of something. You are a founder of something. For those of you who are not, this next year, Start asking yourself that question. I mean, just write it down somewhere. What can I become a part of in the coming year? What can I own a part of in the coming season? What can I start positioning myself to own a part of in the coming season? Don't say, but I don't know how to build. I don't have the skills you're looking for. This is still going back to yourself. How do I begin to invest in myself in the way that people who are building things will need me? People who are founding things, people who are betting visions will need a part of my wisdom, a part of my abilities, a part of my competencies. What competencies do I need to build that people are going to come looking for me saying, Mr. David, can you come and be part of what you are doing? Mr. West, can you come and join us? Can you come and of course, sometimes they may just invite you casually, but you need to put yourself in a position of that frequency where you recognize the opportunity and you can negotiate more than just coming. This is one of the things that you need to pay attention to in the coming year. How do you start thinking like a builder? Join something that is going somewhere and be part of something that is going somewhere. Please give me the next. Now, I want to talk about this very importantly. And then I think at that point, I'll start shutting down and we could take questions. I mean, there's still a lot more, but I have to stop somewhere so that we don't go beyond our time. If you have a 3,000 liter GP tank, do you know a GP tank? You have a 3,000 liter tank and you put 30 liters of water in it. When you open that tap, what's going to come out? 3,000 or 30? Why? You can't give what is not inside. Now, I've seen this happen over and over again. Many of us, we have more capacity than we are currently running. You are built for more, but somehow you're operating at 20%, at 10%. And the real problem is not that there's no room for more. One of the problems is that your definition of speed is comparative. You have a BMW car and you are driving it at 80 kilometers per hour. And you are passing Keke Napep that is driving at 40 kilometers per hour. Are you fast? Are you sure you're not fast? But you're overtaking everybody. If you are measuring speed by how fast others are moving, you are fast. Because everybody's going at 40. You are the King Kong of the road. You're moving at 80, passing everybody. However, the person who built that car, BMW, German machine, this car can go 320. And this guy is going at 80. When he sees you, what does he feel like doing to you? Feel like knocking your head. You are embarrassing my machine. Now, many of us, that's what we do. We measure our speed, not by our build, but by our environment. And we think we are fast. What God has deposited in you, the capacity to have, is way more. You want to change this? What God has put in you is way more than you are currently running. But somehow, you have boxed yourself into the environment. So because you work in an environment where nobody is dreaming big, everybody is just okay to go at 20 miles per hour, suddenly you are the fastest guy. Everybody's clapping for you. And then you think you are fast. So people who can see. Now, have you ever had scenarios where people expect more from you than you can do? Do you know what is happening? They are telling you, we see more. When it started happening to me, I used to be angry. And let me tell you how my own used to happen. People come meet me and say, Mr. David, they are selling that house. This is the price. I'm like, how will you consign me? And it happened one time, 2 times. In fact, the one that now got me to the point of awareness, I was not even in town. They scanned the letter and sent to me. A lawyer wrote us a letter. Somebody bought a house in the estate, demolished it and started rebuilding it. And a lawyer wrote us saying that the real owners of the house are suing us for demolishing their house. I'm like, no, be me buy house. But this lawyer, lawyer that didn't go to, I went to night school, saw the entire estate and thought, these are the people that can buy this house. He didn't even do due diligence, just wrote us a letter saying that. So after a while, I told myself, why does everybody think we can buy these buildings, but we don't think we can? That means they are seeing something in us that we're not seeing ourselves. It means that capacity and reality is not matching. If they think we can, then let's get to ourselves to the point where we can. Something switched. Now, when they say come and buy, I say let's go. And we entered there. In fact, the last one, the man called me. I said, okay, nice. I'm interested. Property, big land. I said, I'm going to buy it. I said, okay. Talk. I said, okay. How long are you giving me to pay? He said, you don't have cash. I said, I don't have cash, but tell me, I'll pay your money. Give me terms. Okay. How long do you want to pay? And I walked out there stating the terms of payment by myself. And he agreeing to the terms of payment. I told myself, what made me all along think I didn't have the capacity to do this? Remember what I said? Money follows what? There's no land I have entered to purchase that I didn't end up paying for. So for some of you, what you need to pay attention to is 3,000 liters capacity, 30 liters reality. What are you doing about it? Because when they open that tap, it's not capacity that will come out. What will come out? Reality. So what are you doing to bring your reality to the level of capacity? And many times, the reason why our reality does not match capacity is because we don't pay attention to the refilling. People have an expectation of you. I mean, there are some of you, a few persons in this room I know that they've spoken, people have told you this. When people see you, they have an assumption that you earn a particular amount of money. In fact, they must not know how much you really earn. Because if they know how much you really earn, it goes so embarrass them and embarrass you. So, my point is, earn it. Become it. Match perception with reality. So, this has to do with filling tank. What is the content of your bucket? It is what is inside you that will come out. When we open a tank, both content and quantity is what is inside that comes out. Like I used to say, I think I say on social media, if you squeeze an orange, what comes out of it? Orange juice. So when we squeeze you, what do we see? It's what is inside of you. What is not inside cannot come out. What you have not built capacity to do cannot happen. Two mistakes people do when we fill up. Mistakes, and this may be for those of us who speak, those of us who do public speaking, who go out there and who are probably in the knowledge space. One of the mistakes that I see a lot of people making is you fill up from one source. So somebody says, who is your mentor? And he mentions, in fact, when you speak, you are an echo chamber. You are reading the same author, listening to the same person, reading the same topic. So when you speak, we're like, that's where you did now. Or you speak and we're like, we know who you are quoting. Every quote is the same person. How are you filling your tank? For those who are going to be in the knowledge space in the coming season, you need to pay attention to this. The sources of your feeling. You need to pay attention to where you feel from, and you also need to pay attention to the content you feel from. What kind of content? Sometimes you are filling up in the same space, and I had an experience with a lot of people in this year. One of my coaching programs, we try to get people to talk and be more visible. And we now realize that actually, for a lot of people, they get very boring. You know why? Because if you tell them to say 10 things, they're saying the same thing. But they're saying 10 things from the same domain, from the same area. So if you're around medicine, your only knowledge is around medicine. Every story you tell, medicine. Or if you are in finance, all your illustrations around finance. The knowledge base doesn't work that way. You will need to have a variety. In fact, I've said this over and over. In this current economy, that we are in, expertise is measured by your ability to combine knowledge from two divergent fields. If you are a lawyer and all you know is law, you're in a very long queue of good lawyers. But when you take your law and you go and add finance to it, you're now a finance lawyer. You're on a different queue. That queue is likely shorter. In fact, if possible, if you go very far apart, that queue, now only you go to that queue. Because you have created a domain that does not exist. So you are in medicine and you're thinking, what will it take to become the best doctor? You go long. But ask yourself, what is that field that I can bring to medicine and create an expertise in medicine that does not exist? And it's not hard, it's not far. Just sit down and think, which is why we talked about money earlier. Because this is not something you can do when you are hungry. Because sometimes getting that thing done may require you to shut down your job for a while. Take 1 year off to go and build competence in a different area, then come back to the game and say, now a new version of me is back. And a version that nobody has seen before. So, do you see where this is going? Some of these are big questions, but you need to start asking yourself, how long am I going to stay at this level? I don't know what brought you. I started this meeting by asking, why did you come? What is your expectation? You didn't just come because you don't have what to do on Sunday afternoon. There are a lot of things to do today. A lot of things that can be done from where, exciting things to do today. Why did you come and spend 3 hours listening to me talking left, right, and center? Some of the talk. Now, I don't know if today's talk even made sense to some of you. But some of you understand what I'm talking about. And you're asking yourself, how long will I be here? What do I need to do? How do I need to transform this current experience? How do I need to transform where I am currently and begin to think of the new possibilities? New possibilities. How do I tune my eyes to start seeing what is real? See, when you tune your eyes right, what you see is scary and crazy. I told you how I sit in dinners and people are talking and I'm like, how come we're not seeing these opportunities? I sit with my friends who are doing real estate and this guy is buying bushes around different states and he buys the bush and he has allocated them to people who are not going to build in the next 5 years. And he's collected their money, bought the land, and this guy does a yam plantation there. On people's land that they're not even coming to come and check. In fact, they are happy saying at least he's possessing the land for us. And then this guy told me what he makes per annum from the yam, and I'm like, Jesus is Lord. I'm coming to real estate. And somebody is telling you, you're seeing opportunities. Have you checked? Now, let me digress to this a little bit. Whatever you're doing, any industry you are, please pay attention to the continent of Africa. Africa is the next big thing. All the other continents, check demographics, is dropping. Africa is the one continent rising. As at 50 years ago, there was no African country in the top 10 populous countries in the world. Right now, there's only one, Nigeria. In 50 years, 5 African countries will be in the top 10. In fact, by 2100, Africa will be 1/3 of the world. We are burning children here. All those children will wear clothes. They will go to school. They will eat food. Opportunity is right in front of us. What are you seeing? What are you looking at? What are you looking at? Today is not the day to teach the details. I teach the details in private programs. I run coaching programs. I'll tell you about them if you probably are thinking that you need help in some areas. I'll tell you the different ways that I can help. But there's something we talk about in the PGA. We say think needs. No, think people, think needs, think numbers. People. Money resides in people. Wherever people are, there's money. If the people are in Africa, where is the money? The population is here. People are eating food. People are falling sick. People are wearing clothes. People are traveling. People are open your eyes. Start seeing beyond. This is not about, like I said, if all you want to do is find one small corner where you can pay your bills and feed your family and pay your rent and go to school and all of that, you don't need to be here. Just go out and hustle. You will make it. We're talking of people who want to take spaces who are looking at the industries, media, looking at healthcare, looking at education, and attain. We need to bring global rethinking. We need to become global voices in these spaces. You can that vision that you bettered. What is the potential of a mango seed? A mango tree. One seed can become a tree. That's how far your eyes can see. One tree can become a forest. One seed. That one seed. Because once it becomes a tree and has many other seeds, each of them, it multiplies. If you are doing this right, if what you are building is growing, it after a few years, it will outgrow you, become exponentially bigger than you. One of the things that we're doing, my wife, this coming year, this is not public, so it's not even, you can't apply for it. We're creating a C-suite pipeline, a training program for people for C-suite, because the things we are doing are becoming bigger than we can handle. Within our organizations alone, we have spotted like 6 CEO positions. Where are the people? Yes, they are around us right now, but they don't look like CEOs, because I cannot sit down in New York running companies. The world needs my mind. I mean, do you understand? My people in the office, they don't see me again. I'm asking myself, but I need to position people in places where, because this is multiplying. Now we are seeing 6. In the next 2 years, we can be seeing 25. Because these things are multiplying. One school, Brenny High School, if you don't know, it's registered in the UK right now. We have clients. I mean, it's multiplying, it's growing, it's going. Who will run it? I cannot go and sit down in London running school. Like my wife. Sometimes what God needs to do is birth an idea. Put it down. Help it grow. Many other people will find their fulfillment in that vision that you're carrying. Which is why I said vision is the most number one. Birth a vision. Birth a vision. Looking at my calendar, first quarter of next year is already crazy. I did a post on Facebook somewhere, if you saw it, where I said speaking engagement for first quarter is filled up. It's not because it's not just speaking engagement. First quarter, I look at my itinerary, like 4 different countries. We're doing product launch in London. We're doing, I mean, all over the, and I'm asking myself, can I come and sit down in New York here? And there are people around who are saying this thing is not working. You don't understand how it is working. That's why I think it's not working. And in case you don't know, there's no rocket science behind it. This is mathematical. There's a process. There's a how to these things. My story is very simple. I came to this town as a copper, in case you don't know. Some of you know that story. Some of you are thinking, maybe this guy just downloaded from heaven. No. Those who know the story of everything we have built saw it from like this. I told you how 70 was big deal. I mean, 70 was our limit. I won't tell you the numbers now. The teachers in that school alone are over 150. Not students, teachers. Because, and see, it is going exponential. Right now, we have students in like 6 countries. We have to register a separate school, an online school. 7 Nigerians in diaspora. We have students in Australia, students in the UK, students in Canada. What? The school is where? In Uyo. And people are finding fulfillment for their callings. Now, it is 2 full jobs. Some people work in Brainy Hive Uyo. Some people work in Brainy Hive online. In fact, for some of them, what they earn from the online is more than their normal salaries. So some people are suddenly, this year alone, not this year, last quarter alone, they've doubled their income. Just by plugging into. And the opportunity is massive, 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 massive. You just need to understand how. So, match capacity with reality. There's a how to do these things. There's a method to doing these things. And for a long time, I didn't realize this. But I think that, okay, I think I'll say that towards the end. I say it now. You don't know what I want to say. I mean, forget, possibly. But I'm looking at my time, actually. So this meeting was supposed to end at 6 p.m. Take me to the last slide of how can I help you, or how you can work with me. Just look for that slide for me. Yes. I mean, I've skipped a lot of things. I had to skip a lot of things. Now, I know you're asking yourself, so Mr. David, all this one you're speaking English. What can we do? When I said I shut down from October to invest in growth and planning, what I went to do is actually to ask myself, what is the how behind the things I'm trying to do? Sometimes we are lucky enough that we followed some things accidentally and we saw it working. Which time it works, I go back and ask myself, what did we do? And I study and I find a pattern. In fact, I started a doctorate program in change management, national change. And that program just suddenly opened my eyes to a totally new dimension of life. I'm now seeing this. So this change matter times and seasons thing. Now PhD study I did carry and do. So I'm not just coming to give you vibes and telling you this and this and this. I'm now studying. You know, there are companies that we have used as examples. I'm studying how people reinvent themselves. I'm studying how companies reinvent, how economies reinvent, and I'm like, there's a principle here. There's a principle to growth. I was in a particular country and I was just amazed. I'm like, what on earth are these guys doing? I wrote about it on my LinkedIn profile. Some of you who follow me on LinkedIn. These guys, 50 years ago, were poorer than Haiti, poorer than Ethiopia. Now, this guy's economy is out of this world. I can tell you, South Korea, go and Google South Korea. Those guys are in another land entirely. I'm like, we've been past these guys now. What did they see? They unlocked a how. You know, there's a scripture I like, Ecclesiastes 10:15. It says, the labor of fools, wearieth every one of them. They do not know how to get into the city. Some things that you are doing, you go do, suffer. It's not by sweat. It's by principle. If you understand the principle behind it, some things will work. Now, I don't know if my talk today has helped you or challenged you. For some of you, it has gotten you to a point where you're saying, I know what I need to do. If you are at that stage, when you know what you need to do, fantastic. This is the time to go out and start doing. For those who are thinking, okay, I know what I need to do, but I need help. I actually run a couple of programs. These are the people I spend time with. These are the people I talk with. I mean, some of them are here. This year, I keep calling it last year. My brain is already in 2025. We are in 2025. So 2024, I ran a program called the PGA, Personal Growth Accelerator. I'll tell you about it shortly. Okay, this is it already. The PGA is a program for people who know that where they are is not where they need to be. You are living life at a particular level, but you know that you have more potential than what you are currently living. This is not the life I am wired to live. This is not my best life. How do I get to where I need to be? Those are the people I work with in the PGA. Now, this year, we ran the PGA in 2 tracks, but this coming year, it's going to be 1 track. And I'm going to explain because some people are understood also. I'm learning from these things. There's some people who came to the PGA this year who were not ready for the PGA. What they needed was a different program. So for those people, I have designed a separate program for them. And I'll tell you about it. But the PGA is for visionaries who want to give birth to a vision. Why are my PGA people in the house? Hallelujah. I can see some. Okay, I can see some of them. I mean, I wish I could take testimonies. If I should use that word. I think I should. Pastor D, I'll put you on the spot. Please come. Mr. West. Biko. Just on the spot. Come and give us a 1-minute testimony of PGA. Oh, you has microphone, yes.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Yes, last year I came for this training like this, and before I came, I actually had it in mind that Mr. David should mentor me for the year, or should be my coach for the year 2024. So I didn't know he was going to have a program. So I came last year and then introduced PGA. Before then, I've been teaching leadership in my own way to my church people. But attending that or being in that PGA changed everything about my mindset. I redirected what I'm doing, and this year I've made more money doing what I'm doing than I've ever made before. And that alone is a plus for me. That alone is a big deal for me. And you know, the way it opened my mind, the way I started thinking about life, everything just changed. So for me, it was a good investment. Well, there are 2 options then, the cheaper option and the more expensive option. So I said, well, anything expensive will be better. So I went for the most expensive one, and no regrets, actually, no regrets. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Pastor D. Thank you. I mean, he has unlocked a different version of the things, and he didn't change what he does, though. It's the same thing that he has been doing. Just the scale is now different. And I can tell you, he has not even started. because I see where that thing can go.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is West. My background is law, and I always had this challenge. Law is something that is jurisdictional. That means you can only practice it in one area. So if you qualify as a lawyer in Nigeria, you can only practice in Nigeria. But I knew that I can't be limited to one country. I have to have a global appeal and a global mindset. And so that was part of the reason why I decided to join the PGA. And right now, I may not have blown like Pastor D, but what I'm doing now, what I'm facing, I'm building a community of business-minded people, people who want to start foundations. Who want to start their own startups, who want to access funding. Because one of the biggest problems that you find with business people is that they will tell you that I don't have money, I don't have capital to start. So there is money out there, but not everybody knows it. Nobody knows how to access it. We are doing all of that. And then we now realize, like Coach D said, that look, it's not, the opportunity is not just limited to Nigeria. And there are things that you can take advantage of. So what are we doing? We are positioning to register in the US. Why? Because you have more access. You have access to more things there. So this education that you will get here or in the PGA will open you up. If you were not thinking before, you will start to think. If you were not seeing before, you will start to see. He has a way of pulling what is inside of you and bringing it out. And that is the main reason why you should be in the PGA.
Hallelujah. Now, this was unscripted. We didn't plan this. Mr. B is looking at me. But let me. I didn't tell you we're going to talk. We had this last year's PGA. We had people from 4 continents: the US, Europe, America, Australia, Africa. We had people in the PGA from 4 different continents. So it's not a function of where you are. It's not a function of what industry you are in. We had people from leadership, people in sales, people in all manner of things and all manner of things. Now, who is the PGA for? How do you know if PGA is for you? Now, if any of this describes you, then this is the program for you. Like I said, I have 3 programs this year. And I am very particular about not putting anybody in the wrong program. Now, a lot of people come to me and say, Mr. David, help us. Can you help me? How can I work with you? 3 programs, and I want to be sure that you understand the program. So that if you are making up your mind and say, I want to join any of these programs, you know the right programs to join. For PGA, you know that you're not where you should be. You know you have more potential than you're currently living out. You know there's more to your life. Where you're figuring, how do I unlock this more? We design PGA for people like you. There's a burning vision in your heart. There's a problem you know this problem, I'm created to solve it. But how do I bring my competencies, connect to this problem, and bring it to life? The PGA shows you how. As in, we walk you through. It's not to aspire to aspire. Assignment day. You will know now how I stress your life. Mr. B is saying, if you are not ready to grow, don't come. They will tell you. I'm not just giving you vibes. I'm telling you your assignment. So you have 3 ideas. How do you know which idea to work on? You can't pursue 3 rabbits at the same time. All will escape. How do I know which 2 to pack and which one to pursue? It's not by the Lord said. We'll give you a framework for analyzing the ideas to now know this is the most profitable one. This is the one that aligns with my passion and my skills and all of that. And you know what to choose. So that burning desire in your heart, you want to bring it to life. PGA will help you do that. Now, this is one of that group of people. We are very skilled, talented, and gifted. You work very hard. And you know your work is very good. But it's like nobody's seeing you. People who know half of what you know are collecting all the money with big clients. You that know everything, nobody's calling you. That's what Pastor D was. That was the WhatsApp group that he was in. We will help you to position for the people who need your competencies and your skills. Because you see, it's not by, like I said, it's not by hard work. There's a how. We have a 6-module curriculum. If you go to my website, you will see all those things there. So I won't spend too much of your time. If you're trying to elevate your life and thinking, this next season, I need to start this next year, changing the way I think. Because we spend plenty of time addressing that mindset matter. We dealt with mind though. That mind, because that is the foundation of everything. We will deal with your mind, how you think, how can you change the way you think, what can you do, all of that. We work on that. And then we go into things like, okay, what are the habits you need to build? How do you become an expert that is known? How do you expand your network? How do you get visible? All of those things. that is the next thing we'll do at the PGA. So if you know that that is the level of life you are in, the PGA is for you. Now, that's one level. There's the second level. Give me the next slide. Who is on my slide? Now, this one. Now, by the way, the PGA is 6 months. 4 months of learning, 2 months of doing. Because that's 1 year thing. If we were sleeping, I'm not doing that with people again. Some people entered and ran away because I gave them too much leverage. So the PGA is 4+2. 4 months active learning. The next 2 months you are doing on a timeline, and we are monitoring your doing. So there's no hiding place. This next one, this one is my most exclusive program. It's not for everybody. It's called exponential growth. If you have not created something, this is not for you. If you are still thinking of creating something, this is not your program. You are thinking, hey, I have a vision, I want to bring it to life. Go to PGA. People who have birthed ideas, you've created an organization, you already have something, a company, a product, a ministry, a non-profit, something that has started. And you are thinking, how do I take this to where the world can see it? Exponential growth. I explained linear growth earlier. I explained exponential. I told you that there's a formula for it. This thing is not rocket science. I have studied exponential growth. I have seen how to take an idea from small. So those of you who did the PGA will understand this. We're simply applying the growth cycle and the growth spiral. The growth cycle is how do you take information and turn it to transformation. Now, if you do that, you grow in one cycle, in one level. But your growth has to continue to be exponential. The next level, how do you know the next information that will take you to the next growth? And so we have curated different levels of knowledge. Now, for me, it is my own year. This is my own theme for next year. Personal theme for next year's exponential growth. The things I'm doing, I'm taking them crazy. So I'm applying. So and this program is, like I said, in fact, when I created it, I was telling my wife, I said, no, I don't think I should open it up. It should be something, because the truth is, even if you apply for it, we'll have to talk. I have to interview you. Not everybody qualifies to come for exponential growth. We can't be more than 12. I just need 12 people in that program who are saying, this thing I have created, how do we take it to the world? 6 domains of learning, and I've identified them. Number 1 is still you. Okay, I think if you go, when I share the link, you can read all of that. We'll look at you, money, voice, tools, people, courage. What information do we unlock in this level? And how do we jointly take the growth cycle? And how do we leverage money? How do we leverage tools? How do we leverage people? This is not a, how will I put it? We're not doing guesswork. We're joining together. And it's for builders. It's for people. And if you know me very well, I'm not a traditional coach. I'm a builder. I'm an entrepreneur. You know my business. You know what I do. So I'm simply saying, how do we apply what we're doing together to go and take it global? My own businesses, I'm taking them like crazily global. I told you I've registered 2 companies in the UK already. We're already working on the US. Thank God. I'm glad that the people that were doing this together are already thinking at that level. So if you have birthed an idea, you've launched something, and you are saying, this is something that is bigger than my location, it needs to go to the world, then come and join me here. Let's do this together next year. This is exclusive 12 people I'll be working with. And give me the last one. And some of you are still thinking, Mr. David, we're just lost. What are you talking about? This is more like pre-PGA. That's not what it means. But some of you who are just thinking, where do I start from? I've not captured the vision yet. I've not known what I want to create yet. I've not known what I want to birth yet. In fact, I'm still struggling with my thinking. I'm still thinking at a level that I'm wondering, is this what I'm supposed to be thinking? Level Up is a 4-month program. 3+1. So you see the 3+1. By the way, exponential growth. Show me that exponential growth. Did you see what it was? We're together for the whole year new. This one's you are not going anywhere. If you enter this one with idea, no, we're not dying there. We fly there. We fly together. So we would take My wife somebody was asking me, so is everybody who did the PGA going to next level? No. Not everybody who did PGA is qualified for this oneself. Some people did PGA, and you know the problem? When they came for PGA, the gully was very deep. That all that we're feeling, the building no show. You see, they do land filling. You know what I'm talking about? There was a lot, not as if they're not growing, but the growth has not become visible yet. Everybody went at the PGA says, I'm not thinking how I used to think before. I mean, it's like we talk about this bamboo tree. When you plant a bamboo, the bamboo first spends years going roots and then starts shooting up. So the PGA helps you take roots. But you are still thinking, I don't even think I'm ready to start taking roots. How do I start? Level up is for career starters. You're just leaving school. You're starting a career. You're in a space and you're thinking, I need to position myself to be able to be where I am ready. My eyes is tuned. My mind is tuned. My thinking is in the right frequency where I can unlock new opportunities. I can recognize opportunities. I am ready for growth. I am ready to take off. That's what level up is. Now, I'm spending more time with PGA and exponential growth. For level up, I have built a network of people. I'm going to spend time with them, but I've built a network of people who will help you to unlock that level. There are resources that we're going to give to you that will help you to do the land. So that when you come for PGA, we're not doing land filling in PGA. By the time you come for PGA, you are ready to fly. Now, this is not for everybody. This is for those who are saying, Mr. David, this next year, how can you help me? How can I work with you? This is something I know I am called to do. So for me, I am fulfilling a part of my life calling. I don't do when I do PGA, I don't do it like I'm doing class. They know. My spirit, in fact, one of those days, I think I fainted on class. Who was on call that day? I just came in. I had been out of the country. I just flew in that evening. The night we flew in now, or something like that. We arrived in Lagos at almost 12 midnight, and I was sick. And so I said, I must do this class. No, this class must hold. On the Zoom call, I practically passed out. Thank God my wife was with me in Lagos that day. She had to come and tell you them, please end this call. Let me go and take care of my husband. Because I mean, so for me, it's not something I'm committed to do. Understand this. I'm not trying to create programs to fill my time. Already, I am busy. I am building. What I'm doing is growing. But this is a dimension of my calling. I know I have to fulfill. So if you are in that place and you are thinking, God, send me help. How do I cross this barrier? I have come to help you. However, it costs money. It's not free. I have one program I do for free and it has closed. Compass for guys. So I do a guys mentorship program, Compass. Just guys. That one, 6 months, I'm not charging one kobo. That one is ministry. And so many of the things we're doing at Compass, at some of them, you've probably seen a similarity because I'm investing significantly there. How many of you are in Compass here? Oh boy. And I full this place. Oh. See my Compass people. Okay. But so look, these are the investments. This is what it will cost you. If you want to do level up for 4 months, it's going to cost you 100,000 to be in a close community with me where you will learn these things. If you want to do PGA for 6 months, 4 months of learning, 2 months of doing, it will cost you 300,000. That's an investment you will make. Remember, I said you need to invest in yourself. If you want to do exponential growth with me, in fact, you are seeing Mr. West is laughing. 750K. That's cheap. Okay, somebody says it's cheap. Now, I went for a meeting this November. Okay, no, this is December. Last month in November. The meeting was 3 days. It was 3 days. But you know, I paid 1.2 million to be in a room for 3 days with a coach. It's not a 6-month program. No, it was 3 days. In fact, I didn't go alone. Me and my wife, we went. So we paid that money times 2. But you know what happens? You can't be in those rooms and come out after 3 days and your head is at the same level. You come out and you feel like you want to play Ludo with the world. There's something they do to your mind. The books I get to, the reading list they give us in those meetings are not books you hear them talking about on the street. So when I come back from those meetings and I come and say, I'm looking for books. Those books, by the time you start reading, you're like, oh boy. And some of those books were not written yesterday. Written 1887, 1910. This generation is not even seeing the books. Anyway, if exponential growth we will do plenty reading. In fact, all of them, there's reading involved. There's reading. But in exponential growth, on every level of our six, so we're doing that. We're doing the growth spiral 6 times. That's exponential growth. This thing, new knowledge, and we take it around to growth. Do the transformation, new knowledge, we're doing it 6 times. And each one is around a particular theme or topic. And each of those topics has like 3 books for the knowledge and information that will take us around. So if you are not ready to take what you are doing to the world, don't waste my time here. Hello? Now, this is what it will cost you. I know what I pay for coaches. I know what I pay for coaching. I have coaches, by the way. I have coaches that I pay. Right now, none of my coaches is less than 7 figures. None of my coaches collect less than 7 figures from me. None. I don't have a coach who collects in hundreds of thousands anymore. All of them are in millions. What I'm doing is I'm collecting high tension transformer and I'm stepping it down for some people. However, now this is the price. However, for those who are saying, I want to act fast, I want to do something. I don't want to go and think about this. I want to act. I want to take my life into my hands. Give me the next slide. There's a fast mover offer. If you step in within the next 48 hours and make a commitment, now, like I said, money follows what? If you make the decision and say, in the next 48 hours, I want to plug in, 25% is off. Meaning, level up, instead of 100 is 75. Instead of 300 is 225. Instead of 750, 600. This one is 20%, not 25%. I'm not sure if you're punching calculator now. That was a 20% off on that one. And to lock yourself in, you don't need to have 75,000. What do you need? Lock it to 25, lock it with 75, lock it with 100, and you are in. This offer ends midnight on Tuesday. By Wednesday, the price goes up. Give me the next price. This is going to run till Christmas. The 25% drops down to 10%. If you lock in before Christmas, you have another discount. So you are paying less than the normal, but more than the early people. And your commitment fee is also higher. So if you make the decision faster, you pay less and you spend less to enter. I mean, I'm just explaining this. This is standard, this thing. I'm not... Do you understand what's on the screen? So if you want to go in by Christmas, after Christmas, all prices go back to normal. After December 31st, all programs are closed. We start January. So you can't join in January. If you don't join before the year is over, I'll see you December. Or maybe so those that we're going to do in the next, maybe those are I can see you in July or sometime in the year. But this is a flight. If you don't join the flight takes off. You wait for the next bus. So I'll be waiting for the next flight. So if you're saying, Mr. David, how do I work with you in the coming year? This is how we get to work. Now, anybody, I'm doing a program on the 28th. Give me that slide. Yes. On the 28th of December. This particular meeting, like I said, was not a planning meeting. We didn't do hands-on. On the 28th of December, I'm doing a workshop. This is hands-on workshop, preparing to walk on water. This is now where we go hands-on. We're going to bring back our worksheets, a practical workshop on setting audacious but achievable goals that will force you to stretch and unlock a new year in 2025. And this is where we are going to talk about how do you set goals for the next year. Today, like I told you, today was not about 2025. This was about the next 10, 50 years. But this particular one is about 2025. It's not free. Because I also want very serious people there. That one is open. However, anybody who enters any of my programs before that day has access to this for free. Because this is actually like the pre-induction for all the programs. If we're going into the next year and you're going to be working with me, you have to set, not goals, audacious goals. So that let's create mountain and then next year, let's go and kill those mountains together. So if you're going to go into any of those programs for next year, if you come in before Christmas, and if you can register even after Christmas on the normal price, but you can enter before this date, 28th December, I think that's a Saturday. That's a Saturday evening. And it's online, strictly online. So people can join from anywhere in the world. You can join in. You're going to get this for free if you enter in the program. But if you just want to say, okay, you know what? I'm not doing that. I'm just going to do the workshop. The workshop is very cheap. It's just 20. And now, why am I putting money on this? Is it because I can't do it for free? No. I'm trying to get a principle into your mind. Yeah. I'm trying to activate a principle in your mind. As long as you stay at the level where you are getting free knowledge, there's a level of growth you can never unlock. You don't need all the information in the world to break out. You need privileged information. Privileged information in this world is never shared in free meetings. It's shared in private meetings, and private meetings are never free. So I need you to start getting comfortable with the idea of I need to invest in my growth, in my next level, in what I want to do. And there's one other principle I share at the PGA. This measure by which you give shall men give to you. Some people are saying, but I know this. Why is nobody? If you have never paid a particular amount to grow, you don't even have the right to charge that amount of money. You know, I can put a price on these things. I know how much I'm paying to learn. Two and three, and we shut down. Thank you. So number one is here, number two is behind him, and number three is over there. No, please give me that slide. I've not showed you. So how do you enter the program? Please give me that slide and I'll show you the link. Just go to there's a link where you can see all the programs and how you can join, how you can register. Yes, sir.
Okay, good evening, sir. Thank you very much for the knowledge and everything. So my question is, you talked about building authority and also utilizing diversity and varieties. So my question is, how do we balance building authority in a domain and also utilizing varieties from different sources without losing sight of our authenticity?
How do you build authority in a domain and build variety
from different varieties?
Yeah.
Without losing sight of our authenticity.
The more you get from different sources, the more original you become. In fact, the more you grow, the more original you become. Because when you grow in different areas, you are creating an original version. And when I say that sometimes you grow from one source, you are being a duplicate of someone. When you're able to grow from multiple sources, you become very original. If you mix Coke and Fanta and Sprite, you have a brand new drink altogether. That's original. But if you are only mixing Coke in a cup of water, you are just producing Coke. So what I'll just say is grow and let your growth be fueled by diversity. Grow in those areas and bring the skill and knowledge you have to whatever problem you are solving. When you're able to bring multiple perspectives to one problem, you realize that you are able to actually become original and you have a voice that does not sound like anybody's voice. If you take from only one person, you will sound like me. If I'm the only person you listen to, when you talk, you say, this guy is just quoting Mr. David. But you need to be an original. So you need to take from multiple sources so that you are an original of yourself. Yes, next question.
Okay, good evening, sir. Please, you talked about alliance and partnership. So while starting small, how do one know the right alliance to make for a business? Because I found out that some people, you bring them in to partner with you and they turn around to maybe stab you at the back or take the knowledge and want to run with it. So how do you know the right kind of people to bring in your business to partner with you?
There's a skill for it. It's a skill that you have to build. That's why I say you need to learn how to see, recognize, how to see people, and then you need to understand the skill in those domains. So do you just come and say, come and join me? There's a legal framework for it. That's why you have lawyers. That's why you have people like Mr. West. And you want to do a partnership, talk to somebody who is an expert in that area. You need to know how to negotiate. As you're growing, your skills are multifaceted. You also have the skill of recognizing and negotiating, but know when you need to get help from somebody that is more of an authority in that space. There are things I do today. I don't even struggle. I just call somebody. I say, hey, please, Bigo, help me handle this. And somebody sets that out for you. So yes, when you get to that point, when you grow into that point, you will learn the skill of recognizing talent, recognizing competencies, and then you will know how to get people to join you. When you need to close deals, don't try it alone. Talk to somebody who will advise you in that area. Okay, last question. I've forgotten what it was. You said I will forget, and truly I've forgotten. Okay, so yeah, this went off. If you're trying to check out the programs, you want to read and understand the different programs. What's the PGA? What everything I've said is properly documented. Go to this website and you can see the programs, you can read them, and you can take action on the ones that need to take action. All right. I have kept you how many minutes beyond your time? 19 minutes beyond your time. And I apologize for that. So, but I hope that you see what I'm saying and you understand what I'm saying. Because yesterday night, my wife asked me a question and says, why are you looking tense? I said, I'm just hoping that I can communicate in a way people understand. Because there's a way sounding in my head. I don't know if I've said it the way it sounds. Is there a question online? Oh, there's a question online. Okay, please, can you help me check? Can a student take any of the programs? Yes, there are students who can take PGA. There are students who should take Level Up, which is why you need to read each of the programs to understand exactly what each of them is saying. If you are a student and you are at the level where you are about to birth a vision, people launch things from campus. People actually build things from university. So there are some students. I think we had a student in this last PGA. We've had a student in PGA actually, and he's gone on to like reinvent and he's no longer thinking like a student. Actually graduated in the course of the year. He came in as a student and graduated, but he's actually thinking totally differently now. Is there another question online? So yes, if you are a student and you're thinking, okay, am I sure what I should do? Read the descriptions. Go to that website. Please put up that on the link again, where they can find the programs and put it so that I put it online and post it in the comment section on YouTube so that they can actually see that. All right. I hope that this actually gets you thinking. Now, in case you are thinking that the goal of this meeting was to come and sell my programs, no. The purpose of this is to get you in a particular frequency of thought. If you've entered that zone and you are seeing what I intend for you to see, and you are thinking the way I need to think, this program was successful. I have my tribe. I have my community. I have my people who enter my program. How did Jesus say it? Those I am called to. They know me. How they In case some people registered for PGA 2025 in August this year. I told them you can't join. Say, okay, let me enter and wait for next year's own. So people actually have joined waiting list for PGA. So this was not a selling program. Just in case you are thinking, so all of my English is over, I can sell program. You have missed the point. I need you to be in a frequency of mind where you are thinking is beyond 2025. How do I position for the next 5 years? How do I take a position for the next 50 years? How do I start putting my voice on a pedestal that my voice will be one that will emerge? That when the old voices begin to leave the stage, I'll become one of the new voices that will be heard. In what domain will I be speaking? How will I speak? Where will I? Those are the things I want to be thinking about. If you need help in any of those areas, that's why the program is there. But if you figure it out and I know what to do, I hope this meeting has blessed you and has been successful. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your time. God bless you. Those of you who need help with planning, you want to plan next year, financial planning, goal setting, everything, bring back that goal setting. Yeah, preparing to walk on water. This one is, if you want to come and plan, small plan, please don't waste my time here. If you're not thinking that next year needs to be exponential and audacious, please don't come. What did I call it? If you don't plan to walk on water, you're already on the ground. So why do you want to come and learn how to walk on the ground again? So if you want to do normal things next year, stay and just do your normal. On crossover nights, when we shout, this year is your year, what will you shout? And that amen is sufficient for you. But those who know that they need to walk on water, you know, it goes beyond saying amen. This year is your year, does not turn into. There's something that you need to do to make the year what it needs to be. And that's what I want to talk about at this workshop. Thank you very much and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. For those online, thank you for joining from everywhere you're joining. Those of you who are watching this after today, after the meeting has ended, hi to you too. So this is particularly for those of you watching after today. God bless you and I will see you.